My mom walked into my house and said, "You have a spare room, so I'm moving in." I laughed, thinking she was joking, until she showed up with movers. What my husband said next made her scream. I never thought I'd have to fight back against my own mother, but she left me no choice. One day, she came into my house, looked around like she was checking out a hotel, and casually said, "You have an extra room, so I'm moving in." I laughed because I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. The truth is, my mom was never the loving, caring type. When I was growing up, she made it clear she didn't really want kids. She had me and my sister because she thought it was what women were supposed to do. Once we were old enough to take care of ourselves, she made sure we knew we were a burden. At 16, I had a job. At 17, I was paying rent to live in her house. At 18, she told me to leave because her house wasn't a charity, so I left. I worked hard, got through college with scholarships, and built a stable life. I married a wonderful man, and we bought a house together. For the first time, I had peace. No yelling, no mind games, no walking on eggshells. Just peace, until my mom decided to crash back into my life. When she said she was moving in, I laughed, but she was serious. "I'm not joking," she said. "That room is empty, and I need a place to stay. It makes sense." I said no, but she didn't listen. "Of course you'll let me stay. You're my daughter. You owe me." I didn't owe her anything. I told her no again, but she kept talking over me like my opinion didn't matter. She said her landlord was raising the rent. She was tired of working, and it was time for her kids to take care of her. She acted like it was already decided. I told her, "Not happening." She called me ungrateful and stormed out. I thought that was the end of it, but a week later, a moving truck pulled into my driveway. At first, I didn't understand what was happening. I heard the truck, looked outside, and there she was telling movers what to do like she owned the place. I ran outside and said, "What are you doing?" She looked at me like I was dumb and said, "Moving in." I laughed again, thinking it was a joke, but the movers were already unloading furniture. A couch, boxes, even a bed. I stood in front of the door and said, "No, you're not moving in." She rolled her eyes and said, "Don't be dramatic. I'm your mother. Of course I'm moving in." That's when my husband stepped in. He walked up to her, crossed his arms, and in a calm but cold voice said, "Take your things and get off our property. Now?" My mom, who was used to getting her way, looked shocked. "Excuse me," she said. He didn't back down. "You heard me." Then she screamed, a loud, angry scream, right there in the driveway in front of the neighbors and the movers. She lost it. "You can't do this to me," she yelled. "This is my right. You owe me." She turned to me, her face red with anger. "You're really going to let him talk to me like this? I raised you. I fed you. I gave you a home." I stared at her, furious. "You kicked me out at 18, I said." She waved it off. "You were an adult." I replied, "So are you." She kept screaming, saying we were cruel, that she'd tell the whole family, and that I'd regret this. The movers looked uncomfortable, realizing they were in the middle of a family fight. Then my husband said, "If you don't leave in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police." That shut her up for a moment. She stood there, breathing hard, fists clenched. Then, without another word, she turned around, stomped to her car, and drove off, leaving the movers confused. I don't know what she expected, that she could just decide to move in and I'd let her, that she could take over my life after all these years. But it wasn't over. The next day, the calls and texts started from relatives with threats and accusations. That's when I realized this wasn't just about her being pushy. It was a full-on war. I thought she'd throw her tantrum and give up. I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to 27 missed calls from my sister, my aunt, and cousins. I groaned, knowing what it was about. Then I saw the texts. "How could you kick your own mother out? You're a terrible daughter. She did so much for you, and this is how you repay her. She's your mother. What kind of person are you?" I sat up in bed, my heart racing. What was she telling them? My sister called and yelled. She told everyone you kicked her out with nowhere to go. She said her landlord evicted her, and you and your husband threw her out with all her stuff. She's staying with Aunt Maria, crying about how cruel you are. I was furious. "That's not what happened," I said. My sister snapped, "I know, but half the family thinks you're the villain now." Of course, she was playing the victim. She'd always twisted the truth to make herself look innocent and everyone else look bad. And it worked. Family members started blocking me on social media. Even some coworkers acted strange. When I asked around, I found out she called my job. I couldn't believe it. She called my workplace, told them she was my mother, that she was homeless, and that I'd abandoned her. She said she was worried about my moral character and wanted to warn them about me. I was shaking. This wasn't just a family fight anymore. She was trying to ruin my life. I sat on the couch, staring at my phone, my hands trembling. My husband sat beside me, quiet for a while. Then he asked, "What do you want to do?" That's when I realized something. My whole life. I had always been reacting to her. She would do something terrible, and I would handle it, but not this time. This time I was going to act first, and she wouldn't see it coming. She wanted a fight. Fine. I'd give her one. First, I had to stop her lies. I called my job, talked to HR, and explained everything. How my mom had made up a sad story to make me look bad. Luckily, they believed me, but they warned me to be careful. That's when I knew she wasn't going to stop. Over the next few days, things got worse. My mom wasn't just ruining my reputation. She was trying to take over my life. First, I got a notice from my bank. Someone had tried to access my account using my old name and security questions, things only she would know. Then, I got an email from my insurance company. Someone had tried to add themselves to my policy, and the last straw, a fake claim saying I had abandoned her and was financially abusing her. She was trying to make me look like a criminal. I was angry, but I stayed calm. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd play smarter. I froze my credit, changed all my passwords, and set up extra security. Then, I called a lawyer. After that, I started digging into her past. Because my mom had secrets, big ones, and I was going to expose them, the truth that would destroy her. I called old family friends and people who used to know her. What I found out shocked me. It turned out she hadn't just been evicted like she said. She had been kicked out for scamming her landlord. She had been renting out her apartment on Aaron without telling him, making thousands of dollars and not paying him. When he found out, she tried to blame him. It didn't work. She was banned from renting in most places. That's why she tried to move in with me. She had nowhere else to go. But it got worse. I also found out she had stolen money from my grandmother before she died, money meant for medical bills. She spent it on vacations. That's why most of the family didn't talk to her. She was a liar, a cheat, and a thief. And I had proof. Now it was my turn to expose her. I set a trap, and she walked right into it. I waited for her next move. I knew she couldn't resist trying to get more from me. Sure enough, a few days later, she called my lawyer, saying she was entitled to my money and that I had to let her live with me because of some fake legal rule. My lawyer shut her down. But I wasn't done. I gathered all the evidence, the eviction, the scams, the stolen money. Then I did what she didn't expect. I sent it to the whole family. And I didn't stop there. I sent it to her landlord, the bank she owed money to, and even the police, because some of what she did was very illegal. The fallout was instant. The family turned on her. All the relatives who had been attacking me went quiet. Some even apologized. Her landlord sued her. The bank started an investigation. And the best part, the police were looking into the money she stole from my grandmother. The last I heard, she was desperate, trying to find someone to take her in. But no one wanted her. She had burned every bridge. As for me, I finally had peace. I thought she would fight back, tell more lies, and play the victim like she always did. But I didn't realize how quickly people would turn on her. Once the truth came out, everyone abandoned her. No one defended her anymore. She tried to fix things. She called my sister, my aunt, and even distant cousins, saying I was the liar and I was trying to ruin her life. No one believed her. She went to Aunt Maria, the one person who had taken her in after I kicked her out, and begged to stay. Aunt Maria threw her out. She had only helped because she thought my mom was just a struggling woman. But when she found out my mom had been stealing from her, she snapped. She threw my mom's bags on the lawn and slammed the door. Just like that, my mom was homeless. Karma hit her harder than I ever could. But the best part, it wasn't even me who finished her, it was the law. A few weeks later, I got a call from a detective. The police were looking into my mom's finances, especially the money she stole from my grandmother. And guess what? She had warrants for her arrest. She had done other scams, small frauds, bad checks, even stealing someone's identity. I didn't know, but I wasn't surprised. With all the evidence I gave them, they had enough to arrest her. The day she was arrested, I got a text from a cousin. Your mom just got arrested at a gas station. I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I smiled. The aftermath and why I don't feel bad. She tried to ruin my life. She tried to take over my house. She tried to destroy my reputation. She tried to steal from me. And in the end, she lost everything. She spent months fighting legal battles. Last I heard, she was living in cheap motels, begging family for money. No one helped her. She had burned too many bridges. As for me, I moved on with my life, peaceful, happy, and free. For the first time, I felt safe. The person who had made my life miserable was finally facing the consequences of her actions. And I didn't feel guilty, not even a little.
That flicker of rage in her eyes, I'll never forget it. Sierra stood over me, the empty wine glass still dripping red onto my dress as I reeled in shock. "Whoops," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. In that moment, something ignited within me, a spark of defiance I thought had long faded. I slowly rose to my feet, the sticky wine seeping into my skin as we locked eyes in tense silence. "You spiteful witch!" My voice came out steady, undergirded by newfound strength. "How dare you? In my own home that I opened to you." Sierra scoffed. "Don't be so dramatic, Evelyn. It was an accident. Right, babe?" My eldest son, Derek, watched impassively from the sofa, offering neither defense nor apology. Sierra sauntered over, draping herself on his lap as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't just publicly degraded his own mother. I stood motionless as they dissolved into giggles, the sting of humiliation washing over me. This was the last straw. Sierra had chipped away at my dignity ever since she married into our family 3 years ago, slowly eroding the harmony in our home. Her vanity, selfishness, and spoiled coddling by my husband had blinded Derek to her subtle cruelty. But this act of violence, masking malice with feigned innocence, opened my eyes fully to the abuse I'd quietly endured from her. From them both. My hands balled into fists. I saw myself then not as a frail 68-year-old grandmother worn by illness, but a proud fighter ready to reclaim my power. Enough was enough. I refused to let Sierra's toxicity infect our family any longer. As I retreated upstairs, my mind racing with plans, I knew the time had come to fight back. I would start by reaching out to the one person I knew I could trust unconditionally, my youngest son, Alex. "Mom, that's horrible. I had no idea," Alex said. His forehead creased in concern as I recounted the wine incident. I'd asked him to meet me discreetly at a cafe down the street from our family home, not wanting Derek or Sierra to suspect anything. "She's a parasite," I said bitterly. "I was blind to not see how she's manipulated all of us until now. She and Derek, they've been bleeding me dry financially ever since they moved in, hoarding my money to fund their lavish lifestyle while I struggle." Alex nodded gravely. "I noticed designer clothes and fancy new gadgets, but whenever I asked Derek, he'd say it was from his big promotion at work." I let out a mirthless laugh. "All lies to hide their exploitation. Sierra thinks I'm weak, an easy target, but I'll prove her dead wrong." My son regarded me with care. "What can I do to help, Mom?" I reached across the table and squeezed his hand, my first genuine smile in months creeping onto my face. With Alex by my side, I felt emboldened, like I had an army at my back. "First, I need you to quietly gather evidence about their financial abuse," I said. "Bank statements, receipts, anything we can use as proof. Confronting them outright won't work. They're too manipulative. This requires strategy." Alex nodded firmly. "Of course. What next?" I took a long sip of chamomile tea, savoring the calm before the storm I would soon unleash on Derek and Sierra. "Next," I said coolly, "we destroy their lives like they've destroyed mine." "More wine, Mother?" Sierra's mocking tone cut through the tense silence that had descended on our usually cheerful family dinner table. Ever since the spilling incident, as I'd come to call it, Sierra had taken to publicly needling me in petty ways, all under the guise of sweet concern. I simply stared back stonily, refusing to gratify her twisted bullying with any visible reaction. Sierra's painted lips twisted into a scowl at my non-response. "Oh, let it go, love." My eldest Derek jumped in, always the peacemaker blinded by his wife's superficial charms. "No need to give Mom grief. It was just an accident after all." "Some accident," Alex muttered under his breath as he aggressively speared a carrot slice. My youngest had grown increasingly disgusted by Sierra's behavior since we'd had our secret cafe strategizing session last week. "What was that?" Sierra snapped. "Nothing. Nothing." Derek, ever the oblivious optimist desperate to keep up pretenses, waved his hand. "Now, Sierra, be polite. We're lucky Mom welcomed us into her home when we needed help." I bit my tongue, holding back the fiery retort on the tip of my tongue. We all knew Sierra and Derek hadn't moved in with me out of any familial sentimentality or hardship. After recklessly draining their savings on frivolous luxuries, they'd targeted my vulnerability as a widow living alone, seeing a chance to bleed my retirement savings dry under the guise of needing shelter. Well, not for much longer, you parasites. The thought ignited a spark of anticipation within me. After dinner, I was meeting Alex at his apartment, where he would show me the financial evidence of Derek and Sierra's lies that could ruin them. "So, Derek," Alex interjected, "how's the big promotion going? Must be demanding work." Though his tone sounded innocent enough, I detected the subtle confrontation in his words, a thinly veiled suggestion that perhaps Derek's promotion was as false as the rest of the web of deception he and his wife had spun. My eldest shifted uncomfortably under Alex's gaze, a flicker of something like guilt passing over his features. Going great," he managed after a pause. "Just wrapped up a big project, so things are calmer now." "How lovely for you both," Sierra trilled, placing a hand over Derek's in a show of wifely solidarity. Her sharp eyes, however, glared daggers at Alex. Sensing the simmering tension, Derek cleared his throat and rose abruptly from the table. "Well, delicious dinner as always, Mom," he said with forced joviality. "I've got some emails to catch up on for work, so I'll excuse myself." With a quick peck to Sierra's cheek, Derek hurried off. Sierra and I locked eyes as Alex began gathering dishes. The sweet facade she adopted for my son's benefit had slipped, unveiled malice marring her perfectly made-up features. "You want a war, witch?" I thought defiantly. "You've got one now, and I intend to win." I awoke with a start, momentarily confused by the faint crashing sounds coming from downstairs. Bleary-eyed, I glanced at the clock. 2:37 a.m., blinked back angrily. My heart began to pound as more muffled bangs echoed up to my bedroom, followed by raucous laughter. Derek and Sierra. Of course. I slowly shuffled to my bedroom door and cracked it open. The couple had just returned from a rare date night out, no doubt funded by my stolen money. As their cackles grew louder, so did my boiling anger. Not only had those parasites wrecked my peaceful home with their constant demands, now they robbed me of sleep too? This had to end. Now. As I crept halfway down the stairs in darkness, the scene in my trashed living room came into focus. Derek was sprawled out on my good couch, shoes still on, and giggling drunkenly. My antique coffee table had been shoved aside carelessly, various bottles and chips littering the floor. Sierra wasn't faring much better, stumbling back from the kitchen with a bottle of my vintage wine in hand. I watched in outrage as she staggered against my bookshelf, sending a framed photo of my late husband crashing to the ground. At the shattered glass, Sierra simply cackled harder. Red-hot rage surged within me. These entitled brats had waltzed into my home, bled my bank accounts dry with manipulative lies, and now trashed my belongings like rebellious teenagers. I had enough evidence of their financial deceit to destroy them, courtesy of Alex's intel. Now this blatant property disrespect was the last straw. Steeling myself, I flicked on the lights and stomped into full view. "What in God's name do you think you're doing?" My voice boomed through the tense silence. Still in her glittering dress, Sierra froze mid-pour of the wine. Derek shot bolt upright, eyes widening at the damage surrounding him. We, he stammered before falling silent under my searing glare. After a weighted pause, Sierra let out an exaggerated sigh. "Oh, don't look so scandalized, Evelyn. We were just having a little fun." She attempted a breezy laugh and raised her glass flirtatiously towards me, as if to diffuse the situation with her usual coquettish charm. I stalked forward until we were nearly nose to nose, pleased to see a flicker of uncertainty in her made-up eyes. "How dare you?" I said, my voice low and steady despite my trembling fury. "How dare you vandalize my home that I opened to you, you ungrateful, spoiled brat?" Sierra's lips curled into a sneer. All pretenses dropped. "Or what? What will you do about it, old lady?" She stepped even closer, wine fumes assaulting my nostrils as she snarled. Nothing, because you can't do a damn thing. You're weak and helpless, completely at our mercy, so why don't you scurry off back to bed like a good little old bitch? My palm cracked across her cheek before I even realized I'd swung my fist. The slap split the heavy silence like a gunshot. As Sierra let out a shriek of pain and outrage, clutching her face, I felt a rush of dark satisfaction. "Get out," I whispered. "Both of you, get your things and get the hell out of my house." Their destruction had gone too far. It was time for war. "You can't kick us out. This is Derek's family home, too." Sierra's shrill voice echoed through the foyer. I crossed my arms, unaffected by her hysterics. After tossing the drunken couple out last night, following Sierra's cruel barbs, I'd given them until noon today to pack their things and leave. Of course, she hadn't gone quietly. "Not anymore," I said coldly. "I've shown Alex all the proof of your lies and theft. My lawyer is filing an official eviction notice today." I saw Sierra's hazel eyes flare with anger, and perhaps panic, before she caught herself. When she spoke again, her voice dripped with false sweetness. "Evelyn, let's be reasonable," she purred, sliding up to grasp my hands in faux sincerity. "This is all a big misunderstanding. We would never want to intentionally hurt you." I ripped my hands from her grip. "Save it. The bank statements prove exactly where my missing retirement money has been going, straight into funding your lavish shopping sprees." Sierra opened her mouth to retaliate, but I held up a hand. "I don't want to hear any more lies. You have 2 hours before I call the police." As I turned on my heel, I felt the familiar flare of pain in my lower back from my spinal condition. The doctor said stress always aggravated it, and dealing with these toxic leeches in my home had pushed me past my limit. Gritting my teeth against the spasms, I reached for the bottle of prescription oxycodone to ease the torment. To my dismay, I found it empty. Strange, I just had it refilled. Before I could ponder further, Sierra barged into my bedroom unannounced. "Missing something?" she asked sweetly. Dread curdled my stomach at the sight of my pill bottle dangling from her manicured fingers. "I figured you didn't need these anymore, since you'll have so much peaceful relaxation without us here nagging you." I lunged forward, but Sierra anticipated me, cackling as she danced out of reach. To my horror, I watched as she stormed into my bathroom, our bathroom, and held the pills precariously over the toilet bowl. "No! Stop! I need those!" The rest of my plea died in my throat as she let them slip from her grasp into the swirling water with a splash. My heart dropped as months' worth of precious pain relief disappeared in seconds. "Whoopsie!" Sierra tilted her head, regarding me with mock concern through her thick, mascara-coated lashes. "Butterfingers. I'd fish them out, but... ew!" Momentarily speechless with rage, I stumbled past her towards my jewelry box on the counter. If she thought a little pain would stop me from banishing them, she was dead wrong. But when I opened the box, I found it empty. Now I knew why the scheming addict had trespassed uninvited into my private space. The sight of my most treasured pearls and heirlooms stolen and discarded pushed me over the brink. With strength I didn't know I possessed, I grabbed Sierra's skinny shoulders and slammed her against the bathroom tiles. She yelped loudly. Up close, I could see a sliver of fear behind the disdain in her eyes. "You listen to me, you toxic leech," I hissed into her face. "Nothing will stop me from destroying you and Derek for what you've done." I pressed my forearm harder across her collarbone as she squirmed. "Now for the last time, get the hell out!" I stepped back, adrenaline and rage coursing through me as Sierra fled from the room. The war was on. "It's done. The eviction notice has been served," Alex said, setting a folder thick with legal documents on the cafe table. I let out a long sigh, feeling the knot in my chest loosen slightly. After Derek and Sierra's cruelty reached new heights yesterday, I'd barely slept a wink. Now the first step of my vengeance was officially in motion. "Thank you, Alex," I said, squeezing his hand gratefully. "I couldn't have faced those monsters without you by my side." My son nodded. "I still can't believe Derek refused to answer my calls last night. He knows Sierra crossed the line, but he's so deep under her spell." Disgust dripped from Alex's voice. "She's completely corrupted him," I agreed bitterly. "I just pray we can bring Derek back to his senses someday." I shook my head before taking a long draught of coffee. "But first, we make them suffer." Determination flashed in Alex's eyes. "You said Sierra physically tormented you. We could report them for elder abuse." Not enough, I said coolly. After years pandering to those parasites' wishes, I wanted to hit them where it truly hurt, their beloved social status. An idea began percolating. We need to turn their fancy social circles against them, I continued. Publicly drag their reputations through the mud, share evidence of their lies for all to see. Alex frowned uncertainly. I don't know, Mom. A reputation attack could really devastate them. I leaned forward. Exactly. Sierra and Derek care about nothing except money and admiration from their vapid country club world. So we rip that all away by exposing them. My hands trembled slightly as I recalled Sierra's mocking face. After what she did to me, what they did, they deserve no mercy. I watched Alex wrestle with his conscience before resolve hardened his expression. Okay, he agreed. Where do we start? Over the next hour, fueled by caffeine and adrenaline, Alex and I outlined our retaliation scheme. Step 1 involved anonymously sending Derek's workplace the proof of his financial deception, putting his lucrative job at risk. Meanwhile, I would subtly inform Sierra's gossip-hungry socialite friends about her treatment of me, seeding rumors that would spread rapidly. By the time Derek lost his job, Sierra's reputation would also be shredded by scandal among their social circle. Their lives here would be untenable. Checkmate. As we parted ways, Alex pulled me in for a fierce hug. It'll be okay, Mom, he said gently. We've got this nightmare handled now. Pride and optimism swelled within me then. My son was right. The dawn had arrived to banish these parasites for good. Now we would make Derek and Sierra sorry they ever darkened our door. Over the next week, Alex and I vigilantly executed our plot as Derek and Sierra scrambled to fight the eviction notice. Phase 1 went smoothly. Alex mailed reams of incriminating evidence against Derek to his bosses. Meanwhile, fueled with self-righteous fury, I dropped whispered gossip bombs among Sierra's acquaintances at social events I knew they'd attend. By the time they left each venue, tongues would already be wagging with scandal about Sierra's cruelty against a helpless old woman. Soon enough, Alex and I noted whispers dying down awkwardly as Sierra entered rooms. Eyes that were once warm with envy now glared with contempt. I even witnessed one ringleader of Sierra's clique publicly snub her at a ladies' luncheon. Watching Derek and Sierra's glittering facade slowly crack bolstered my energy. The parasites were getting a taste of long-overdue karma, and my vengeance hungered for more. Soon, the fatal blow would strike. Our scheme was unfolding perfectly. This was it. Phase 2 of my master vengeance plan went into motion today, destroying Derek's career and reputation just as he and his wicked wife have destroyed me these past bitter years. My hands trembled slightly as I carried the anonymous package into the mailroom of Derek's prestigious finance firm. Thanks to Alex's inside intel, I knew exactly when new mail deliveries arrived to ensure my parcel would land directly on the CEO's desk today. The thick manila envelope contained hard evidence of Derek's deceit. Phony promotion paperwork, emails showing him misusing company funds for personal gain. Once exposed to the light, Derek's house of lies would come crashing down spectacularly. After handing the sealed fate to the clerk, I retreated outside to meet Alex around the corner. As soon as I slid into the passenger seat, questions spilled from my son's mouth. It's done? They'll definitely see it? His eyes shone with anticipation. My lips curved into a smile. Without a doubt. I made sure to address it directly to the CEO and partners. I pictured my parasitic son squirming under his boss's scrutiny and felt a flare of dark satisfaction. Bullseye shot, Mom. Nice work, Alex grinned and reached over for a high five. As our palms slapped in camaraderie, I let out a breath I'd been holding for years since Sierra first darkened my door as Derek's vapid arm candy. Today marked the beginning of her downfall as well, and freedom for Alex and me. My phone buzzed with an update from my insider society lady, Magda. She confirmed catching Sierra drunk and belligerent at a country club luncheon today, throwing a spectacular tantrum for all the gossipy patrons to see when confronted about her treatment of me. I smirked, envisioning the scandalized faces of Seattle's most influential wives and matriarchs aghast at her audacity. Sierra's social death was all but guaranteed now. Alex and I decided to swing by a cafe near Derek's office to lay low for a few hours, not wanting to arouse suspicion by returning home too quickly. We passed the time eagerly dissecting potential scenarios, Derek being escorted out by security, Sierra's designer gal pals icing her out forever, their lavish leased cars repossessed within the month. I halfway listened as Alex prattled on about his new girlfriend and her plans to take me on a scenic mountain hiking trip. My gaze remained fixed out the window facing Derek's building, hungry for signs of implosion. Finally, just as the cafe owner flipped the open sign to closed, it happened. Derek emerged at a jog through the lobby's revolving doors. Tie loose, hair disheveled, face pale as a corpse. My breath caught as he frantically scanned the dark street before booking it towards his BMW. "Mom, look!" Alex's whispered voice barely penetrated my fixation. We both instinctively sunk lower in our seats as Derek's car roared out of the underground parking ramp and streaked by in the night. My hands, though liver-spotted with age, clenched into fists of unsated vengeance. Seeing Derek utterly unraveled after years of his soul-crushing deception tasted sweet, but like a perfectly seared steak, I hungered to fully savor the meal I'd cooked up. "One parasite down," I muttered under my breath. Alex touched my shoulder, solidarity passing between us. Now time to squash the queen bee. 1 week after Derek lost his executive job under the black cloud of scandal, Alex and I drank tea on my back patio, waiting for the other parasite shoe to drop. "Sierra missed her nail appointment yesterday," Alex said, "and salon gossip confirmed none of her circle invited her on Carol's annual Aspen trip this year." I nodded, blowing gently on my steaming cup. Bit by bit, Sierra's social bonds unraveled as my gossip campaign exposed her cruel ways. With Derek also in the doghouse, her golden perch atop Seattle's who's who started crumbling quickly. Now we anticipated the fatal blows to drive our revenge home. Right on cue, the patio door suddenly banged open. Sierra stomped out, mascara streaking her contorted face. I set my cup down, steeling my expression into cool indifference despite Sierra's histrionics. "Help me. I think my brakes were tampered with." She collapsed into the wicker chair opposite me, burying her face in manicured hands. I arched an eyebrow. Car issues were just the newest calamity plaguing her in recent weeks. "Excellent. What makes you think that?" I asked lightly, keeping my tone free of genuine concern. Alex swiveled to monitor Sierra, a perfect accomplice keeping up normal appearances. Sierra lifted her head, hazel eyes burning with fury despite the smudged makeup. "This is all your fault. Ever since your stupid eviction scheme, my life has fallen apart." She swept out a hand dramatically. "My friends shun me. Derek can't find work. Now potentially deadly car attacks. I know you're targeting me." I took a slow, leisurely sip of tea before responding calmly. "You've always been overly dramatic, Sierra. Nonetheless, I wish you and Derek nothing but the best moving forward." "Oh, cut the fake sweetness, you hag." She snatched up an empty planter pot, and for a moment I thought she might try to attack me again. Instead, she hurled it against the cedar fence with a frustrated shriek. I didn't flinch as terracotta shards exploded across the pavers at my feet. "I'd appreciate you not destroying my patio furnishings." Sierra's chest heaved rapidly, weft eyes still flashing daggers at me. But despite the aggressive posturing, her face had a hollow, worn appearance now. The queen bee's protective social armor lay in tatters, exposing her pettiness nakedly for all to see. My schemes had achieved exactly that, and I watched her crack and crumble with growing satisfaction. Just then, Alex's phone buzzed loudly in the tense silence. His eyes blew wide at the caller ID image, and he angled the screen for me to see. A glamorous woman wrapped around a shirtless, muscular man. Clearly not Derek. Bold text across the image read, "Cheating Sierra strikes again." My lips curled triumphantly. Our insider spies had captured Sierra's latest infidelity bombshell, another crushing blow I'd orchestrated to her status. Sierra lunged, but Alex yanked the phone out of reach. "That's photoshopped. I never cheated." She attempted a breezy laugh, but it came out shrill and frantic. "Right, Evelyn? Tell him that's fake." I held Sierra's panicked gaze, watching her shredded dignity burn away, my vengeance nearly complete. Finally, I drew myself up slowly. "I think it's time for you two parasites to truly leave my home." My voice rang with quiet authority. Sierra gaped, speechless. As she stormed away and surrendered defeat, Alex and I toasted over fresh tea. The parasites were banished for good. I had reclaimed my power at last. I awoke to golden rays of dawn streaming through my bedroom windows, the first morning in years where hope instead of dread propelled me out of bed. After banishing Derek and Sierra from my life forever yesterday, joyful relief now flooded my veins. I stretched slowly, for once not bothered by my creaky joints or chronic back pain. Healing was finally possible with those emotional vampires gone. I found Alex humming cheerily over a sizzling skillet when I drifted downstairs an hour later. "Morning, Mom? Celebratory cheese omelets?" He smiled brightly. My heart warmed at his infectious mood. With the parasites gone, Alex was positively thriving, his caring spirit unburdened. Over fluffy eggs and strong coffee, we chatted lightly about starting house repairs. Alex insisted on repainting Sierra's gaudy glam room gray to cleanse her tacky energy. As he rambled excitedly about redecorating visions, emotion suddenly clogged my throat. After years battling trauma alone, now I had my loyal son beside me, ready to heal wounds and reconnect. I squeezed Alex's hand tightly across the counter. "Thank you," I whispered, "for fighting with me. I love you so much." Alex squeezed back firmly. "We did this together. I'm just grateful to have my strong mom back." He smiled softly. "Those parasites will never hurt our family again." Over the next few weeks, Alex made good on his home improvement promises while I regained vigor and mobility. Soon colorful gardens sprung up outside, while inside, cherished antique furniture emerged from basement storage back into their rightful places. Alex also urged me to share our story with others experiencing elder exploitation. "What you did was so brave, facing abusive family members," he insisted. "Your experience could help other seniors speak up, too." Weeks later at my first community center meeting, apprehension and stage fright struck me momentarily mute. But seeing the attendees' encouraging faces, I found my voice. And soon my speech about overcoming parasitic relationships through courage and strategy planning roused a standing ovation. In the whirlwind months that followed between decor upgrades with Alex and counseling other seniors, I hardly had time to ponder Derek and Sierra's fate since their raging departure. Only vague rumors circulated among my society circles of their disgrace. So I was surprised when Alex poked his head into the living room one autumn afternoon as I reviewed brochures for an elder justice conference. "Mom, there's a woman outside asking to see you," he said carefully. My eyebrow quirked up. I rarely had unannounced visitors anymore. Before I could respond, Alex stepped back to reveal Sierra hovering behind him sheepishly. I slowly rose to my feet. Even with uncomfortably bleached hair and pounds thinner, I immediately recognized the haughty tilt of Sierra's chin. But her flashy designer clothes had been replaced by a simple turtleneck and jeans. Oddly, her hazel eyes lacked their usual combative scorn as well. I crossed my arms warily. "May I help you?"
The vintage mirror reflects back a stranger wearing white silk and tulle, someone far more elegant than I've ever been. For a moment, I let myself believe in fairy tales. That love transforms you into the princess version of yourself. That happily ever after isn't just a myth we tell little girls. "Oh, Hallie." Madison's voice cuts through my reverie. "The dress is lovely, but we really must discuss the guest list again." I resist the urge to sigh. 3 months until the wedding, and my future mother-in-law still hasn't accepted that Titus and I want something intimate. She circles me like a shark, her Louboutins clicking against the boutique's hardwood floors. The Ashworths simply must be invited. And the Caldwells, and... She pauses, perfectly manicured fingers drumming against her arm. "Have you considered what I said about the venue? The country club would be so much more appropriate than that little garden space." "Titus and I love the garden," I say firmly, smoothing invisible wrinkles from the bodice. "It's where we had our first date." Madison's reflection shows the familiar micro-expression of distaste she always wears when I remind her that her son and I have an actual history, actual feelings that exist independent of her social calendar. My phone buzzes on the nearby chair. Probably Camilla checking in. She's been my lifeline through the wedding planning chaos. But when I glance at the screen, it's a message from an unknown number. "You deserve to know the truth about your fiancé. Check his Instagram DMs with Olivia." "Everything all right, dear?" Madison's tone is honey-sweet, but her eyes are sharp. "Fine," I lie, my heart suddenly hammering. "Just work." I've never been the type to snoop through phones or social media. Trust is sacred. That's what my mom always said before cancer took her. But something about the message's urgency, its specificity... Speaking of work, Madison continues. I had lunch with Caroline yesterday. You remember her, don't you? Her daughter just made junior partner at Hamilton and Ross. Such a prestigious firm. The implication is clear. My job as a graphic designer will never measure up to Madison's standards. I'm barely listening now, fingers trembling as I open Instagram. Titus rarely uses it, preferring Twitter for his tech industry hot takes. But there they are. Dozens of messages spanning months, each one a dagger to my heart. Miss you already beautiful. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. You're all I think about. The most recent is from this morning. Soon we won't have to hide anymore. Hallie, are you listening? Madison's voice seems to come from very far away. The florist absolutely insists on peonies, but I told her you'd prefer roses, more traditional. I look up from my phone, meeting her eyes in the mirror. And suddenly, with perfect clarity, I understand. The constant criticisms, the pushing for a bigger wedding, the way she's been subtly undermining every decision Titus and I made together. She knows. She's known all along. How long? My voice is steady, surprising even me. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. But there's a flicker in her expression, gone so quickly I might have imagined it. How long has your son been sleeping with Olivia? The boutique goes silent except for distant traffic and the soft whir of air conditioning. Madison's face performs an impressive series of gymnastics before settling into concerned confusion. Darling, you're being hysterical. Titus would never... Don't. The word comes out sharp enough to make her flinch. Don't pretend. Don't lie. You've been planning their wedding all along, haven't you? I was just the placeholder until Olivia was ready to settle down. Madison's mask cracks just for a second. It's all the confirmation I need. Well, I smooth the dress one final time, admiring how the beading catches the light. Thank you for showing me exactly who you both are before I made the biggest mistake of my life. I turn away from the mirror, away from the stranger in white who believed in fairy tales. Madison reaches for my arm, but I step back, my smile sweet as arsenic. Don't worry about the deposit on the dress, I tell her. Consider it a wedding gift for the happy couple. Her mouth opens and closes, but for once she has nothing to say. I gather my things, hands steady now, mind crystallizing into perfect clarity. 3 months of planning, of compromising, of trying to be the daughter-in-law Madison wanted. All of it wasted. But as I push open the boutique door, stepping into the bright afternoon sun, I realize something that makes me smile for real. I know all their secrets now, and they have no idea what I'm capable of. I've been staring at my phone for 20 minutes, thumb hovering over Titus's contact photo. It's from our trip to Maine last summer. His dark hair, windswept, green eyes squinting against the sun. I used to think that smile held all my futures. The door chimes. Camilla slides into the booth across from me, taking in the untouched coffee and my probably mascara-streaked face. Okay, what's the emergency? Your text was scary cryptic. I wordlessly pass her my phone, open to the Instagram messages. She reads, her expression darkening with each scroll. That absolute waste of oxygen, she finally says. How long? 8 months at least, probably longer. My voice sounds hollow even to me. Madison knew. She's probably been orchestrating the whole thing. Madison's a snake. We knew this. Camilla signals the waitress for coffee. But Titus? I really thought, God, I'm so sorry, Hal. You know what's funny? I trace a water ring on the table. I keep thinking about all those nights he was working late. All those weekend conferences. I actually felt guilty for doubting him when he'd come home exhausted. Because you're not a sociopath who lies to people they claim to love. Camilla reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. Have you talked to him yet? What's there to say? Hey, honey, how was your day? By the way, I know you've been fucking Olivia behind my back while your mother plans your real wedding. The bitterness in my laugh surprises me. Actually, yes, exactly that. Make him squirm. But I shake my head. He's not even home. Another conference in Seattle. I pull up his location on Find My Friends. Except according to this, he's at the waterfront hotel downtown. Camilla's eyes narrow. The one with the rooftop bar where Olivia always posts those sunset selfies? My stomach lurches. I close the app, but the image is burned into my brain. That little blue dot marking the exact location of my disintegrating life. I need to get out of our apartment, I say suddenly. I can't sleep in that bed knowing you're staying with me. No arguments. Camilla's tone brooks no opposition. We'll get your stuff now while he's occupied. The drive to my soon-to-be ex-home feels surreal. Everything looks exactly the same. The coffee shop where Titus proposed, the park where we walked our neighbor's dog, the Thai place that always got our order wrong, but we kept going back anyway. How can the world be so unchanged when everything inside me is in pieces? The apartment is quiet, familiar. Photos of us mock me from every wall. Holidays, vacations, moments I thought were real. I start grabbing essentials on autopilot. Clothes, toiletries, laptop. What's this? Camilla holds up a leather-bound notebook from Titus's desk. His work journal. He's obsessive about keeping everything analog. Says it's more secure than digital. I pause, something clicking. And he never lets anyone touch it. Camilla's already flipping it open. Holy shit. I look over her shoulder. Pages of neat handwriting detail meetings, plans, transactions, and dates. Dates that match perfectly with his business trips. Names I recognize from Madison's endless social circle. And numbers, large numbers. This isn't just an affair, I breathe. He's been moving money around. Look, these transfers to offshore accounts, these consulting fees. Is this legal? Camilla asks. Not even close. My hands are shaking, but my mind is suddenly perfectly clear. He's been embezzling from his own company, using his mother's social connections to... Oh my God. A key turns in the lock. Camilla shoves the journal into my bag as footsteps approach. I freeze, heart pounding, but it's not Titus. Hallie? Madison stands in the doorway, impeccable as always. I thought I might find you here. We need to discuss how to handle this situation discreetly. Her eyes flick to my half-packed bag, to Camilla, to the empty spaces where photos used to hang. Something calculating crosses her face. There are certain arrangements that could be made, she continues smoothly, to ensure everyone's comfort and privacy. The right incentives. She's trying to buy my silence, I realize. She doesn't know I have the journal. Doesn't know I've seen proof of not just personal betrayal, but corporate fraud that could send her precious son to prison. You're right, I hear myself say. We should definitely discuss arrangements. Over lunch, perhaps? Tomorrow? Madison's relief is palpable. Wonderful. The club at noon? I smile, sweet as the day she helped me try on wedding dresses. I'm looking forward to it. Only when she's gone does Camilla exhale. Please tell me you're not actually considering letting them buy you off. I zip my bag, feeling the weight of the journal inside. Oh, I'm going to lunch tomorrow, but Madison's about to learn that some things can't be fixed with her checkbook. The country club dining room reeks of old money and judgment. Madison sits across from me, perfectly composed in Chanel, stirring her martini like she's conducting a tiny orchestra. I'm wearing the silk blazer she gave me last Christmas, playing the role of the grateful almost daughter one last time. Darling, I know you're hurt, she says. But these things happen. Marriage is about being practical. I take a sip of water, letting the ice clink against my teeth. Practical like offshore accounts and fake consulting fees? The olive in her martini stops mid-orbit. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. I think you do. I pull out my phone, showing her a photo of one particularly damning page from Titus's journal. Your son's not just a cheater, Madison. He's a thief, and you've been helping him. Her face doesn't change, but her knuckles go white around the stem of her glass. Those are complex business matters you couldn't possibly understand. Try me. I may just be a graphic designer, but I can count. $7 million doesn't just disappear into consulting fees without someone noticing eventually. A shadow falls across our table. Ladies, everything satisfactory? I look up to find Austin, the club's manager, watching us with careful interest. I've always liked Austin. He has kind eyes and never treated me like I was beneath him, unlike most of Madison's circle. Wonderful as always, Madison says smoothly, but there's a tremor in her voice. Austin lingers a moment too long, his gaze meeting mine with something that might be understanding. Once he's gone, Madison leans forward. Name your price, she whispers. Whatever you think is fair compensation for your emotional distress. I laugh, the sound sharp enough to turn heads at nearby tables. You really think this is about money? Then what do you want? I want my last year back. I want to unknow what it feels like to love someone who could look me in the eyes every day while betraying me. I want... My voice cracks, and I hate myself for showing weakness. Madison's expression softens fractionally. Hallie, please. Titus made mistakes, but he's still my son. I can't let you destroy him. You did that yourself, I say quietly. When you taught him he could take whatever he wanted without consequences. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Meet me at the service entrance in 10 minutes. Bring the journal. Austin. I need the restroom, I tell Madison, standing. Don't worry, I'm not done discussing those arrangements. The service corridor is all exposed pipes and fluorescent lights, a stark contrast to the dining room's carefully curated luxury. Austin is waiting, looking nervous. I've been gathering evidence for months, he says without preamble. The money laundering, the fake companies, all of it. But I needed proof of the paper trail. I stare at him. You're what? Some kind of undercover investigator? Former forensic accountant. I took this job when things started looking suspicious. He runs a hand through his hair. The journal would complete the case, but it has to be obtained legally. Understanding dawns. You need me to turn it over voluntarily. You'd be protected as a whistleblower. But I won't lie. It could get messy. These people have resources, connections. I think about Madison's perfectly orchestrated life, how she's probably already planning damage control. About Titus's easy smile as he promised to love me forever while building a life with someone else. If I help you, I say slowly, what happens to them? Best case? Significant fines, probably prison time for the main players. Worst case? They have enough friends in high places to get a slap on the wrist. And Olivia? Was she involved? Austin shakes his head. Just a convenient distraction as far as we can tell. Keep the fiancé focused on personal drama instead of business dealings. Something cold settles in my chest. They didn't just betray me. They used my pain as a smokescreen. Every tear I cried over their affair was calculated, strategic. The journal's at my friend's apartment, I tell Austin. I can bring it tomorrow. You're sure? Once this starts? I'm sure. I straighten my blazer, channel some of Madison's steel. But I want to be involved. Not just handing over evidence, I want to help take them down. Austin studies me for a long moment. It's not exactly protocol. Neither is running a corporate fraud investigation through a country club. I know things about this family that aren't in any journal, and I've got nothing left to lose. He nods slowly. Okay, but we do this carefully. By the book. I think about Madison waiting in the dining room, probably already calling her lawyers, about Titus and his perfect smile and his careful lies. Don't worry, I say. I'm done being careful. You're doing what? Camilla nearly drops her wine glass. We're huddled on her balcony, the city lights blinking below like earthbound stars. Hal, these people have serious connections. They could destroy you. They already tried. I scroll through the photos I've taken of Titus's journal. Besides, I'm not doing it alone. Austin has a whole team watching them. The hot manager from the club? She frowns. How do you know you can trust him? It's a fair question. Trust feels like a foreign concept lately, something that belongs to the person I was before everything shattered. I don't, I admit. But I verified some things. The companies in Titus's journal? They're real shell corporations. The transfers match exactly with his business trips. It's all true. My phone lights up with a text from Austin. Meeting tomorrow. Bring everything you have. Camilla sets down her wine. Okay, reality check time. What happens if this goes wrong? If Madison's lawyer friends bury the investigation, you'll have painted a target on your back for nothing. It won't be for nothing. I stand, pacing the small balcony. Even if they escape consequences, everyone will know what they really are. No more perfect family facade. No more using people like they're disposable. This isn't just about the money laundering anymore, is it? I stop pacing, gripping the railing until my knuckles whiten. You didn't see Madison's face when she offered to buy my silence. Like everything has a price. Like I should be grateful they're willing to pay me off for destroying my life. Hal, Camilla's voice goes gentle. Have you talked to Titus at all? He's called 17 times. Left voicemails about how we can work through this and move past it. My laugh sounds bitter even to me. Guess he figured out I have the journal. A notification pops up. An email from Fiona, a junior partner at Titus's company. My heart stops when I open it. Oh God. Camilla moves to read over my shoulder. The email is short but devastating. I know what you're planning. We need to talk. Meet me tomorrow morning at Riverside Coffee. Come alone. Could be a trap, Camilla says, or she knows something we don't. I forward the email to Austin, then delete it. Either way, I have to go. Not alone, you don't. If she's willing to talk, I can't risk scaring her off. I turn to face my best friend. But I need you to do something else for me. Something important. The next morning, Riverside Coffee is nearly empty. Fiona sits in a corner booth, impeccable in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than my monthly rent. Her expression is unreadable as I slide in across from her. You're making a mistake, she says without preamble. Which part? Exposing fraud or refusing to let them buy my silence? You think you know what you're dealing with, but you don't. She glances around before continuing quietly. 3 years ago, another employee found discrepancies in the books. He went to the board. 2 days later, his wife was fired from her teaching job over anonymous accusations. Their mortgage application was mysteriously denied. Their kids lost their college scholarships. Ice slides down my spine. What happened to him? Retracted everything. Said it was a misunderstanding. Now he manages a small branch office in Idaho. Fiona's eyes meet mine. Madison doesn't just have lawyer friends. She has judges, bank executives, university boards, people who owe her favors. Why are you telling me this? Because I like you. And because... She hesitates. Because I've been gathering my own evidence. Carefully. For years. Building a case they can't bury. Hope flares in my chest. Will you help us? Us? There's already an investigation. Real investigators, not just company internal review. Fiona sits back, something calculating crossing her face. If I help, I need guarantees. Protection. For me and my family. I'll talk to Austin. We can... Not here. She stands abruptly. Tonight, the parking garage at Harrison Street, level 3, 9 o'clock. Bring your evidence, I'll bring mine. After she's gone, I text Camilla. Did you do it? Her response comes quickly. Package delivered to every board member's home address. Anonymous tip about reviewing tomorrow's financial news carefully. I smile, thinking of the copies of Titus's journal pages currently landing in very interested hands. Madison may have powerful friends, but even they can't stop every leak at once. My phone buzzes again. Austin. Got your email about Fiona. Do not meet her alone. This isn't a request, but I'm already planning how to ditch whatever tail he puts on me. Because if Fiona's telling the truth about what these people are capable of, I need all the ammunition I can get. The Harrison Street parking garage looms like a concrete monster in the dark. My footsteps echo as I climb to level 3, each sound making me jump. Austin's going to kill me for coming alone, but something in Fiona's eyes told me this was too important for caution. A car's headlights suddenly blind me. I throw up a hand, heart pounding. Get in. Titus's voice coming from the driver's seat. Now. My stomach drops. Where's Fiona? Safe, which is more than I can say for you if you don't get in the car. I back away. You're not exactly building trust here. Trust? He laughs, harsh and unfamiliar. You're the one who stole from me, who's trying to destroy everything my family built. Everything you stole, you mean? He steps out of the car, and I realize with horror that I've never seen him like this. Face twisted with something darker than anger. You have no idea what you're messing with, Hallie. The journal, the board members, the investigation, you're in so far over your head. How did you know about... I stop, realization hitting like a punch. Fiona, she's working for you. Everyone works for someone. He takes a step closer. The question is, who are you working for? Austin? The SEC? Or are you just so desperate for revenge you don't care who gets hurt? That's rich, coming from you. I loved you, he says, and the worst part is he probably believes it. I was going to take care of you, keep you safe from all this, but you couldn't just let it go. My back hits a concrete pillar. By all this, do you mean your fraud or your affair? Olivia was a mistake, a distraction. But this? He gestures vaguely at the darkness around us. This is my legacy, my future. I won't let you destroy it. Your future? I laugh, reckless with fear and fury. Your future is a prison cell once the FBI sees what's in that journal. His face goes still. Where is it? Somewhere you'll never find it. He moves faster than I expect, hand slamming into the pillar beside my head. I flinch but refuse to look away from his eyes I once thought held my whole world. Last chance, he says softly. Tell me where it is, sign some papers saying you made a mistake, and this all goes away. You get a generous settlement, a fresh start somewhere else. Or what? You'll destroy my life? My voice shakes but doesn't break. You already did that. The difference is now everyone's going to know exactly who you are. A car engine roars in the distance. Titus steps back, straightening his jacket. You know what the funny thing is? He sounds almost sad. I really did want to marry you. You were uncomplicated, pure. I thought you'd make me better. I'm not here to make you better. Headlights sweep across us as a familiar SUV screeches around the corner. I'm here to make you pay. Austin jumps out, gun drawn. Federal agent, hands where I can see them. Titus's eyes go wide with genuine shock. Then he runs. Are you okay? Austin keeps his gun trained on Titus's retreating form as other agents emerge from the SUV. I told you not to come alone. I'm fine. I'm shaking, but anger burns hotter than fear. Did you get what you needed? He holds up a small recording device. Every word, including the threat and attempted intimidation of a federal witness. I watch as agents disappear after Titus. Will you catch him? Eventually, but he's not our main target. Austin holsters his weapon. Your wire picked up something interesting at lunch with Madison yesterday. Names we've been trying to connect to this operation for months. So it's bigger than just their family? Much bigger. And now, thanks to you, we have proof. He studies me carefully. But after tonight, you need to understand, there's no going back. These people play for keeps. I think about Titus's face in the darkness, that stranger wearing my fiancé's skin. About Madison's carefully orchestrated world of favors and threats. About how close I came to joining their family, to becoming just like them. Good, I say. Because so do I. My phone buzzes. A text from Camilla. You need to see this. Turn on the news now. Austin's phone chimes at the same moment. His expression turns grave as he reads whatever message he's received. What is it? I ask. Madison's dead. He looks up, face grim. They're calling it suicide, but... The garage suddenly feels colder, darker, because I know with bone-deep certainty that this is just the beginning. The news plays on repeat in Camilla's living room. Madison's body found in her study, an empty pill bottle beside her. No sign of struggle, no note. Just the perfect stillness of her perfect house, disrupted by death. It wasn't suicide. I tell Austin for the 10th time. He's perched on Camilla's armchair while agents sweep my old apartment for evidence. Madison would never leave without controlling the narrative. I agree. He rubs his temples. But proving it is another matter. The medical examiner's preliminary report shows nothing suspicious. Let me guess. The examiner is a family friend? Camilla's voice drips sarcasm, along with the responding officers and the DA. Austin sighs. This is exactly how they operate. Clean, quiet, impossible to prove. My phone lights up, Olivia's name on the screen. I almost decline, but something stops me. Hello? Don't hang up. Her voice is raw, frightened. I need to talk to you. In person, please. I meet Austin's eyes. He nods slowly. Where? The Botanical Gardens. 1 hour. Come alone. Because that worked so well last time, Camilla mutters. But an hour later, I'm walking through humid greenhouse air, agents concealed nearby. Olivia sits by the orchids, mascara smeared beneath red-rimmed eyes. I didn't know, she says when I approach. About any of it. The money, the threats, Madison. I thought I was special. That he loved me. Join the club. I don't sit. Why am I here? Because I found something in Titus's desk after he ran. Something Madison gave him for safekeeping. She pulls out a USB drive. Everything's on here. Accounts, contacts, blackmail material. She was insurance shopping before she died. If she was planning to expose them, why, she wasn't. Olivia's laugh is bitter. She was protecting herself from Titus. She found out he was planning to frame her, make her take the fall when it all came down. That's why she's dead. I finish. He killed his own mother. I can't prove it, but the night she died, he came home with scratches on his hands. Said it was from helping his mother clean up some old files. She holds out the drive. Take it. I don't want any part of this anymore. Before I can respond, footsteps approach. We both turn to see Fiona emerging from behind a massive fern. Hello, ladies. Her smile is razor sharp. Having a nice chat? Olivia goes pale. You said you wouldn't. I say lots of things. Fiona's hand emerges from her jacket, holding a small revolver. The drive, please. My mind races. The agents are watching, but they're under orders not to reveal themselves unless my life is in immediate danger. One wrong move and we lose everything. You're working for Titus, I say, playing for time. But he's gone. Who are you really protecting? You think Titus is the mastermind? She laughs. He's a spoiled child playing with daddy's money. The real power was always Madison's. Her connections, her network. Was? Is. Fiona's smile widens. Death is just a transition of power. And now that network belongs to me. Understanding hits like lightning. You killed her. Madison taught me everything, except when to step aside for the next generation. The drive now, before this gets messy. I reach for the USB, but Olivia moves faster. She hurls it at Fiona's face and runs. The gun swings toward her. I don't think. I move. The gunshot is deafening in the enclosed space. Pain blazes across my arm as I tackle Fiona. We crash into a display of orchids, pottery shattering around us. Agents swarm in, shouting commands. Fiona thrashes beneath me, snarling something about lawyers. I roll away, clutching my bleeding arm. Jesus, hell. Austin helps me up. That was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Can't it be both? My voice shakes with adrenaline and pain. Olivia reappears as medics bandage my arm. She's holding the USB drive, miraculously intact. I'm sorry, she whispers. For everything. I never meant... I know. And surprisingly, I do. We were both just pawns in someone else's game. The drive confirms it, Austin says later. after statements and bandages and endless cups of shock sweet tea. Fiona was laundering money through Madison's network for years. When Titus discovered it, they made a deal. He kept quiet. She helped him steal from his own company. And Madison found out. And paid for it. He hesitates. But we still don't have Titus. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Just an address and 2 words that make my blood run cold. Found me. Actually, I tell Austin, showing him the screen, I think we do. The address leads to Madison's lake house, a modernist glass and steel monument to wealth where we spent last Christmas, where Titus first told me he loved me, where everything was still simple. We'll surround the property, Austin says, checking his weapon. Wait for my signal before he'll see you coming. I stare through the car window at the illuminated house. He knows every security camera, every approach. That's why he chose here. We're not sending you in alone, not again. You don't have to. I touch the bandage on my arm, still throbbing. Because he's already watching, aren't you? My phone rings on cue. Titus's contact photo lights up the screen. That day in Maine when I thought his smile held truth. Very good, he says when I answer. Always cleverer than anyone gave you credit for, including me. It's over, Titus. Fiona confessed everything. Did she? Interesting. He sounds almost amused. Then you know this was never about money. Not really. Come out, face what you've done. Why don't you come in instead? For old time's sake. Just you, or I start sending evidence of federal agents' families accepting bribes. Amazing what Madison kept records of. Austin shakes his head violently, but I'm already opening the car door. 10 minutes, I tell him. Then do what you have to do. The lake house door is unlocked. Inside, everything is exactly as I remember. Modern art Madison chose, furniture no one ever really sat on, photos of the perfect family they pretended to be. Titus waits in the great room, silhouetted against floor-to-ceiling windows that reflect the night. He's changed clothes since the garage, but his eyes are the same. Cold, unknowable. You're bleeding, he notes, gesturing to my arm. Your girlfriend shot me. Fiona was never my girlfriend, just another piece on the board. He pours 2 glasses of whiskey, Madison's favorite. Like you were supposed to be. Until I stopped playing my role, until you showed real potential. He offers me a glass. I don't take it. You're more like her than you know. Madison saw it too at the end. That's why she had to go. Ice slides down my spine. You killed your own mother. She was going to destroy everything. Turn on her own son to save herself. His laugh is hollow. But she taught me too well. About power, about survival. Is that what this is? Survival? This is evolution. He sets both glasses down, steps closer. We could still have everything, Hallie. Together. No more lies, no more pretending. Just pure ambition. For a moment, one terrible, treacherous moment, I let myself imagine it. The power, the freedom from conscience, the simple clarity of taking what you want. Then I think of Madison's empty pill bottle, of Olivia's tears, of every person these people crushed because they could. You're right about one thing, I say softly. No more pretending. I reach for the whiskey glass, but instead of drinking, I throw it in his face. He staggers back, cursing. My hand finds the USB drive in my pocket, the one he doesn't know we already copied. Looking for this? I hold it up. Everything Madison had on everyone? The whole network? He lunges for it. I dodge, letting him slam into the window behind me. Spiderweb cracks appear in the glass. It's over, I tell him as he rights himself. The FBI has everything. Fiona's talking. Your mother's network is burned. You're lying. But there's fear in his eyes now. They can't prove... Check your phone. He does. His face goes ashen as headlines flood in. Arrests across the city, prominent names in handcuffs, Madison's carefully built house of cards collapsing in real time. You did this, he whispers. You destroyed my family. No. I meet his eyes steadily. You did that yourself. He moves with sudden violence, hands reaching for my throat. But I'm ready. I step aside, letting his momentum carry him forward, through the already weakened window. He catches himself on the frame, hanging over the lake 30 feet below. Our eyes meet one last time. I did love you, he says, in my way. I know. That's the tragedy. Then Austin and his team burst in, securing Titus before he can fall. As they read him his rights, I walk outside to the deck where we once watched sunrise together. The lake reflects stars like scattered diamonds. Somewhere an owl calls, reminding me that nature carries on, indifferent to human drama. My phone buzzes. Camilla checking in. But for now, I just breathe in the night air, feeling the weight of the past year finally begin to lift. It's not a fairy tale ending, but maybe those were never real anyway. The courtroom empties slowly, murmurs and footsteps echoing off marble walls. I stay seated, watching Titus being led away in handcuffs. He doesn't look back. 15 years, Camilla whispers beside me. Plus restitution. That's something, right? I nod, but my eyes are on the woman slipping out a side door. Olivia, wearing the same Chanel suit she wore to what would have been my wedding. Our gazes meet briefly. She mouths, "Thank you," before disappearing. You okay? Camilla squeezes my hand. I think I actually am. I stand, smoothing my skirt. Ready for that drink? But as we reach the courthouse steps, Austin calls my name. There's something you should see. He holds out a leather-bound notebook, identical to the one that started everything. Found it in Madison's safety deposit box during the asset seizure. My heart stutters. Another journal? Her personal diary. Most of it's evidence, but... He flips to a marked page. This entry's about you. The handwriting is Madison's perfect cursive. Hallie reminds me so much of myself at her age. That same fire, that refusal to accept the world as it is. I thought I could mold her, teach her to channel that fire into power like I did. Instead, she showed me what I'd become, what I'd turned my son into. Perhaps this ending is justice, after all. The toxicology report came back. Austin says quietly. It was suicide. She chose her ending. I closed the journal, holding back unexpected tears. She could have stopped it all. Could have helped us. Some people can't face what they've built, or what it costs to tear it down. He takes the journal back. Speaking of building things, how's the new firm? I smile, thinking of the graphic design studio I opened with the whistleblower reward money. Growing. Turns out having helped bust major financial conspiracy on your resume opens interesting doors. And the other thing we discussed? Still thinking about it. Camilla looks between us. What other thing? The FBI is expanding their forensic accounting division, I explain. They want consultants who understand how these schemes work from the inside. You're kidding. She stares at me. You'd actually work for them? Maybe. It turns out I'm pretty good at seeing through people's lies. I start down the courthouse steps. But first, I need that drink. The bar is quiet this early. As we settle into a booth, my phone lights up with a text from an unknown number. My pulse quickens until I read it. Getting married next month. Small ceremony, nothing fancy. Would mean a lot if you came. Oh, Olivia's getting married? Camilla reads over my shoulder. To who? Does it matter? I type a quick response. Be happy. That's all any of us can do. You're really not angry anymore? Camilla asks. At any of them? I consider this, stirring my martini, not Madison's brand. Anger keeps you looking backward. I'm ready to look forward. To what? To building something real. Something that helps people instead of hurting them. I raise my glass. To justice and to knowing the difference between power and strength. Deep. Camilla teases, but she clinks her glass against mine. My phone buzzes again. Austin sending the official job offer. The salary is impressive, but that's not what catches my eye. It's the project description. Developing new methods to identify and prevent financial exploitation through relationship manipulation. Take it, Camilla says, reading my expression. You've earned the right to turn this whole mess into something good. I think about Madison's last words in her journal. About Titus's face when he realized he'd lost everything. About Olivia finding her own path to happiness. You know what the strangest part is? I say, opening the email. I actually have to thank them. All of them. Because they showed me exactly who I didn't want to become. And who's that? I hit accept on the job offer, feeling the future unlock before me like a door I finally have the right key for. Someone who mistakes power for love, I tell her, or fear for respect. Outside, the city hums with life and possibility. Inside, I raise my glass one more time. Not to the past or its ghosts, but to the woman I've become. The one who learned that true power isn't in what you can take from others, but in what you choose to build instead.
The laughter floats down from upstairs like a taunt, punctuated by the occasional shriek of delight that makes my shoulders tense. I adjust the tiny gears in front of me, pretending the sound doesn't twist something in my chest. Another game night I wasn't invited to. The basement workshop is my sanctuary, all smooth concrete and the comforting smell of metal and oil. My latest invention spreads across the workbench, a mechanized board game that responds to players' choices, creating unique story paths each time. I've spent months perfecting it, telling myself this will be the thing that finally makes them see me. Jennifer? Mom's voice carries down the stairs. We're having dessert if you want to join us. The casual afterthought in her tone makes me wince. I don't answer, focusing instead on calibrating the delicate spring mechanism that controls the game board's transformations. Above, chairs scrape across hardwood floors, and my sister Evelyn's distinctive laugh rings out again. My phone buzzes, a text from Deacon. How's the project coming? Still planning the big reveal next week? I type back quickly. Almost there. Just need to fine-tune the storytelling algorithms. More laughter spills down, followed by Mom's voice again. Oh, Evelyn, you always know exactly how to bring everyone together. My hands freeze over the circuitry. That's rich, considering Evelyn's the reason I stopped getting invited to these gatherings years ago. I discovered last month that she'd been telling everyone I found game nights childish and beneath me. A convenient lie that painted her as the fun sister and me as the cold, distant one. The truth? I've spent every Thursday night for the past 3 years listening to their joy from my workshop, wondering what it would take to be included. My father's deep voice rumbles through the ceiling, indistinct but warm. He only uses that tone with Evelyn. With me, it's always tinged with disappointment, like I'm a calculation that refuses to add up correctly. I lift the game board, testing its weight. It's beautiful, brass and wood and tiny lights that pulse like heartbeats. Each piece is handcrafted, programmed to react to players' choices and weave their decisions into an evolving narrative. It's everything I am. Precision and creativity and countless hours of work, all wrapped in something meant to bring people together. The prototype's almost ready for next week's Inventor Showcase. I've already imagined their faces when they see it on display, when they finally understand that the daughter they dismissed as cold and antisocial created something magical, something that could transform family game nights everywhere. Footsteps creak on the stairs, and I quickly cover my work with a cloth. Mom appears, plate in hand, wearing that familiar expression of mild concern that never quite reaches her eyes. I brought you some cake, she says, setting it on a clear corner of my workbench. Evelyn made it, her famous chocolate truffle recipe. Thanks, I manage, though the word tastes bitter. Evelyn's famous recipe came from our grandmother's cookbook, the one Mom gave her without even asking if I might want it. You know, you could come up sometimes, Mom says, glancing around my workshop with barely concealed disapproval. Everyone would love to see you. The lie hangs between us, heavy as lead. I'm kind of in the middle of something, I say, gesturing vaguely at my covered project. Always working, she sighs. Well, don't stay up too late. She turns to leave, then pauses. Oh, Evelyn mentioned she might stop by tomorrow to borrow some tools. I told her it was fine. My stomach clenches. What? Mom, my tools are organized specifically for my work. She can't just... Jennifer, please. She's your sister. Can't you share just once? Before I can respond, she's gone, leaving me with a slice of cake I won't eat, and that familiar ache of being the difficult daughter. I wait until her footsteps fade before uncovering my invention. Something's wrong. My heart stops as I scan the workbench. The main control board is slightly askew, the backup drive missing. My project files, including the detailed blueprints I spent months perfecting, are gone from my laptop. With trembling fingers, I pull up my browser history. There, in the autofill, is a search I never made. How to submit invention proposals to Tomorrow's Tech Today. Tomorrow's Tech Today. The television show where inventors showcase their creations to millions. The show Evelyn mentioned applying to months ago, right before she started asking suspicious questions about my project. Upstairs, the laughter continues, but now it sounds different. Darker, like the sound of something precious shattering beyond repair. I don't sleep. Instead, I spend the night piecing together all the times Evelyn asked about my project, each seemingly innocent question now sharp with intent. By morning, my hands shake from too much coffee and rage. The doorbell rings at exactly 9 a.m. Of course she's punctual. Evelyn's never been late for anything in her life. I open the door to find her perfect smile, her perfect outfit, her perfect lie ready. Jenny, I was hoping you'd be up. She breezes past me, designer purse swinging. Mom said I could borrow some tools? The casual audacity steals my breath. I close the door slowly, counting to 3. Funny timing, isn't it? Right after my project files disappear, she doesn't miss a beat. What do you mean? Don't. My voice comes out harder than I've ever let it before. I know about Tomorrow's Tech Today. I saw the search history. A flicker crosses her face. Surprise, maybe fear. But it's gone instantly. Oh, I was going to tell you. I've been developing this amazing concept for interactive board games. And stop lying. The words explode from me. Those are my blueprints, my invention, my life's work that you stole. Evelyn's smile falters, then reforms. Jenny, you're being dramatic. I simply built on your basic idea, made it more marketable, more family-friendly. You know how you tend to overcomplicate things. The patronizing tone makes my vision blur. I grab my tablet, pull up the producer's email I found last night. Really? Because according to this, you submitted my exact designs, down to the last line of code. I can explain. When? I cut her off. When were you going to explain? During the live broadcast next month? After you won? Or were you hoping I'd never find out? She sets her purse down, smooths her skirt. Always composed, always in control. Look, I did you a favor. You would have kept tinkering forever, never showing it to anyone. I'm giving your invention the platform it deserves. You mean you're giving yourself the platform? The pieces click together with sickening clarity. That's why you've been asking about my progress, why you started coming down to the workshop more. You were planning this all along. The producers loved the pitch, she says, like that justifies everything. They're flying me to New York next week for pre-production meetings. This could be huge, Jennifer, for both of us. I laugh, and it sounds strange even to me. Both of us? You're presenting it as your sole invention, your breakthrough. I'll credit you as a consultant or something. She waves her hand dismissively. But let's be realistic. You're not exactly TV material. You can barely handle family game night, let alone a live broadcast. Because you told everyone I didn't want to be included. The words tear from my throat. Years of lies, and now this? Oh, please. Her perfect mask finally cracks, showing the contempt beneath. You did that to yourself, always hiding down here with your projects, acting superior to everyone. I just made it easier for the family to accept what they already knew. You don't fit. The truth of her manipulation hits like a physical blow. Every excluded Thursday, every sympathetic look from Mom, every disappointed sigh from Dad, all carefully orchestrated by my sister. Get out. My voice shakes. Don't be childish. She picks up her purse. Think about it. Once the show airs, once it's successful, none of this will matter. You'll thank me eventually. The only thing I'm thinking about is how to prove you stole my work. Something dangerous flashes in her eyes. That would be unwise. Mom and Dad have already seen my proposal. They're so proud, Jennifer. Would you really hurt them by turning this into some petty rivalry? The threat is clear. She's already positioned herself as the hero of this story. Any attempt to expose her would make me the jealous, unstable sister trying to sabotage her success. The show airs in 4 weeks, she continues, heading for the door. Don't ruin this for everyone. Oh, and I'll need those tools another time. Clearly, you're not in a sharing mood today. She leaves me standing in my workshop, surrounded by the gutted remains of my dream. My phone buzzes, a group text from Mom. Exciting news! Family gathering tonight to celebrate Evelyn's upcoming TV appearance. Jennifer, please try to make it this time. Your sister would love your support. I stare at the message until the screen goes dark, something cold and calculating taking root where hurt used to be. Evelyn wants a show? Fine. She'll get one she'll never forget. I sit at the breakfast table, watching Evelyn hold court. She's describing her creative process to our parents, each lie more elaborate than the last. My tea has gone cold, untouched. The breakthrough came when I realized the game needed to adapt to players' emotions, she says, stealing my exact words from months of research. It's about connection, really, bringing families together. Dad beams at her. That's my girl, always thinking bigger. I grip my mug tighter, remembering all the times he dismissed my ideas as impractical. Now he's nodding along as Evelyn explains my invention like she understands the first thing about adaptive algorithms or mechanical engineering. Jennifer? Mom's voice breaks through my thoughts. You've barely touched your breakfast. Not hungry. I push away from the table. Need to work. Work? Evelyn's laugh tinkles like broken glass. The invention's done, silly. You should relax, celebrate with us. The casual ownership of my creation makes something snap inside me. I turn back slowly. You're right. It is done. Every circuit, every line of code, every failed prototype that led to the final design, all done. By me. The table goes silent. Mom's fork freezes halfway to her mouth. Jennifer, Dad warns, using his "this isn't the time" voice. No, please, Evelyn says sweetly. Let her speak. She's obviously working through some feelings. The condescension in her tone crystallizes everything, every slight, every manipulation, every stolen moment. I walk to my workshop without another word, their murmured conversation following me down the stairs. My workbench is still a mess from Evelyn's theft, but among the scattered components, an idea takes shape. I pull out my original prototype, the one I built before streamlining the design. It's clunkier, with exposed gears and visible circuitry, but it contains something Evelyn doesn't know about. A failsafe. I power it up, watching the lights flicker to life. Every game piece has a tiny sensor that reads players' choices, feeding data to the main processor. But there's a secondary system, one I never documented in the stolen blueprints. It monitors for specific patterns, triggering alternate storylines if certain conditions are met. My phone buzzes. Gianna from work. Saw the press release about tomorrow's tech today. Your sister's game looks amazing. Why didn't you tell me? My hands shake as I type back. Not my story to tell. 3 dots appear, then, you okay? You've seemed off lately. I ignore it, focusing instead on the prototype. The show will want a dramatic demonstration, something to wow the audience. Evelyn will have to play the game live, prove it works. She doesn't know that every choice in the game creates a digital fingerprint, a unique signature that proves authorship. If I can modify the failsafe to recognize specific play patterns, Jennifer? Dad's voice startles me. He rarely comes down here. I quickly cover the prototype. What? He stands awkwardly at the bottom of the stairs, hands in his pockets. Your mother's worried about you. This tension with your sister. It needs to stop. Tension? I laugh bitterly. Is that what we're calling theft now? Don't be dramatic. He sighs, sounding tired. Evelyn has a gift for presenting ideas, making them accessible. You've always struggled with that. So that makes it okay for her to steal my work? She's not stealing. She's collaborating. That's what family does. He steps closer, expression softening. Remember when you were kids? How you used to finish each other's projects? No, she used to take credit for my projects. There's a difference. Jennifer, did you even look at her proposal? I cut him off. Really look at it? Because if you did, you'd see... I've seen enough. His voice hardens. Your sister has an opportunity here, a real chance at success. Don't let jealousy ruin that. The word hits like a slap. Jealousy. Of course that's how they see it. Evelyn's perfectly crafted narrative at work again. Fine, I say quietly. You're right. It's a great opportunity. Relief crosses his face. That's my girl. I knew you'd understand. He leaves me alone with my prototype and my plans. Above, I hear Evelyn laugh, probably already rehearsing her television appearance. She thinks she knows my invention inside and out, thinks she can pass it off as her own without consequences. But she doesn't know about the failsafe, doesn't understand that every game tells a story, and sometimes the story is about justice. I power up the prototype again, fingers flying over the controls. 4 weeks until the show. 4 weeks to modify the failsafe, to ensure that when Evelyn plays my game in front of millions, the truth will finally have its moment in the spotlight. Let her laugh. Soon enough, everyone will know exactly who's been playing games with whom. The modified game board hums under my hands, each piece positioned exactly where it needs to be. I've been running simulations for hours, testing every possible combination of moves that could trigger the failsafe during Evelyn's demonstration. Your sister's interview is on. Mom calls down the stairs. I switch on the small TV in my workshop, stomach churning as Evelyn appears on the morning news show. She's wearing the pearl necklace Mom gave her for graduation, the one that was supposed to be passed down to the eldest daughter. The game adapts to players' emotional states, she explains, perfectly poised. It's like having an AI dungeon master who knows exactly how to challenge each player. The host leans forward, captivated. And you developed this entirely on your own? Well, Evelyn laughs modestly. I've always been fascinated by the intersection of technology and human connection. I grab my notebook, jotting down every technical term she uses incorrectly. Each mistake is a potential trigger point for the failsafe, a chance to expose her lack of understanding during the live demonstration. My phone lights up with a text from Gianna. Watching your sister right now. Something feels off about this whole thing. Before I can respond, another message appears. Those algorithms she's describing? They sound exactly like the project you showed me last month. My hands freeze over the keyboard. I'd forgotten about that conversation with Gianna, about showing her early sketches during lunch break. She could verify my authorship, prove I developed the concept first, but using her would mean dragging someone else into this mess, someone whose career could be affected by a public controversy. The TV host's voice pulls my attention back, and your family must be so proud. They're incredibly supportive, Evelyn beams, especially my sister. She's always been my biggest cheerleader. The blatant lie makes me laugh out loud, a harsh sound in the empty workshop. I turn off the TV and focus on the prototype, adjusting the sensitivity of the emotion-reading sensors. They need to be calibrated perfectly to detect the stress in Evelyn's voice when she tries to explain technical details she doesn't understand. Jennifer, Mom's voice, closer this time. She's standing at the bottom of the stairs. Why aren't you watching? Your sister mentioned you. I heard. I don't look up from my work. Hard to miss when someone's stealing your life on national television. Stop this. She steps closer, voice sharp. Your father and I are tired of your attitude. Evelyn's success doesn't diminish you. No, her theft diminishes me. I finally meet her eyes. Did you even read her proposal, the technical specifications, or did you just assume she was telling the truth because she always does? I read enough. Mom's face hardens. I read about bringing families together, about creating something meaningful. When's the last time you talked about your work that way? All you discuss are algorithms and circuits, because that's what makes it work. I stand up, frustrated. The emotional connection she's taking credit for, it happens because of those algorithms, because of months of coding and testing and now it's reaching people. Mom cuts in. Isn't that what matters? Your sister knows how to connect with an audience. She's making your technical work accessible. By stealing it, by elevating it. She sighs, looking around the workshop. You could learn from her, you know. Stop hiding down here with your machines. Start thinking about what people actually want. The casual dismissal of everything I am hits harder than expected. What people want, I repeat slowly. You mean what you want, what Evelyn wants. Has anyone ever asked what I want? Of course Mom stops, frowning at something on my workbench. Is that the prototype? I thought Evelyn had the final version. This is different, I say carefully. A backup. She picks up a game piece, examining it. These look more complicated than the ones Evelyn showed us. More exposed. That's because she doesn't understand how they work. I take the piece from her hand, but she will, on live television. Something in my tone makes Mom step back. Jennifer, whatever you're planning, I'm planning to support my sister, I say, echoing Evelyn's sweet tone. Isn't that what you want? She studies my face for a long moment. The show means everything to her, to this family. Don't ruin it with whatever this is. I wouldn't dream of it. After she leaves, I return to the prototype. The piece Mom handled glows softly, its sensors already recording the emotional data from our conversation. Every touch, every tension, every unspoken truth, the game remembers it all. I power up the simulation again, watching the pieces move according to my programming. Soon, Evelyn will play this game in front of millions. Soon, every hidden truth will come to light. And the best part? She'll trigger it herself, one move at a time. Rain drums against the coffee shop windows, matching my mood. Deacon sits across from me, his expression growing more concerned as I explain my plan. The cafe is nearly empty, but I still keep my voice low. Old habits. So, you've modified the failsafe? He says slowly. To what? Malfunction during her demonstration? Not malfunction. I wrap my hands around my cooling coffee. Reveal. Every time she makes a move that contradicts her claimed expertise, the game will highlight her mistakes. By the end, everyone will see she doesn't understand how it works. And humiliate her on national television. He doesn't phrase it as a question. She deserves it. Does she? Deacon leans forward. Or does some part of you just want to hurt her the way she hurt you? The truth in his words makes me flinch. You don't understand. This isn't just about the invention. It's about years of her reshaping reality, making me the outsider in my own family. I get that, but Jennifer? He pauses, choosing his words carefully. I've known you since college. You're brilliant, driven, passionate about your work. But this isn't you. Maybe it should be. I stare out at the rain. Maybe if I'd fought back sooner, stood up for myself more. Or maybe you'd have become exactly what she painted you as, the bitter, jealous sister. Lightning flashes outside, throwing harsh shadows across the cafe. So I should just let her win? Let her take everything I've worked for? No. Deacon pulls out his phone, scrolls through something. But there might be another way. Look at this. He shows me an email thread, correspondence between him and a patent lawyer. My throat tightens. You didn't. I made some inquiries, hypothetically. He sets the phone down. You have documentation, early prototypes, witness development stages. If you wanted to fight this legally, she'd still win. The words taste bitter. She has our parents convinced. The media loves her. By the time any legal case resolved, the damage would be done. Maybe, but at least you'd be fighting clean. Clean? I laugh sharply. Was it clean when she stole my work? When she spent years poisoning my relationship with our parents? When she... Jennifer. Deacon reaches across the table, touches my hand. Listen to yourself. You're talking about deliberately destroying your sister on live television. What happens after? To your family? To you? I don't care. Yes, you do. That's the whole point. He squeezes my hand. You care so much it's eating you alive, but this plan, it won't give you what you really want. And what's that? Recognition, validation, your family's understanding. He sits back. All this will do is confirm every story Evelyn's told about you. The truth of it hits hard. In trying to expose her game, I'm playing right into it, becoming exactly what she's always claimed I am. My phone buzzes. A text from Gianna. Need to talk. Found something in the patent database about your sister's invention. See? Deacon nods at my phone. There are other ways. People who know the truth. People who can help you fight this properly. It's not enough. I stand up abruptly, gathering my things. The show's in 2 weeks. A legal battle would take months, years maybe. By then, she'll have everything she wanted. Jennifer, thanks for the coffee, I cut him off, and the advice, but I need to do this my way. I step out into the rain, letting it soak through my jacket. My phone buzzes again. Another message from Gianna, then one from Mom. Evelyn's pre-show interview tomorrow. Family dinner after. Please be there. Lightning splits the sky again, and in that brief, brilliant moment, everything crystallizes. Deacon's right. I care too much. But maybe that's not a weakness. Maybe it's exactly what I need. Because Evelyn doesn't care. Not about the invention, not about the family, not about anything except winning. And that's why my original plan won't work. Public humiliation? She'd spin it, play the victim, come out stronger. No. If I want real justice, I need to beat her at her own game. Use her weapons, emotion, connection, family, against her. I pull out my phone, text Gianna back. Let's talk tomorrow morning. Then I message Mom. I'll be at dinner. Tell Evelyn I want to help with her demonstration. Let her think I've surrendered. Let her believe she's won. Because now I understand. The best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a smile, right before the ground disappears beneath your feet. The television studio buzzes with pre-show energy, techs darting around with clipboards and headsets. I stand in the shadows of the soundstage, watching Evelyn charm the production team during her rehearsal. The emotional mapping is revolutionary, she explains to Shane, the host, gesturing at my invention. Each player's choices create a unique narrative fingerprint. My fingers curl around the USB drive in my pocket. One simple upload would activate the modified failsafe, expose her lies. But Gianna's words from this morning echo in my head. The patent records show preliminary filings in your name. We can stop this legally. Jennifer, Evelyn spots me, waves me over with practiced enthusiasm. Come meet everyone. My sister's been so supportive of the project. Shane turns, flashing his camera-ready smile. The mysterious sister. Evelyn's told us you've been helping behind the scenes. Oh, yes. I match Evelyn's sweet tone. I know exactly how everything works. Evelyn's smile flickers for a fraction of a second. Jenny's always been good with technical details. Maybe she should join the demonstration, Shane suggests. Add a family element? Oh, I don't think, Evelyn starts. I'd love to. I meet her eyes. After all, who knows the game better than family? Before she can respond, a producer calls Shane away. The moment we're alone, Evelyn's smile vanishes. What are you doing here? She hisses. Supporting my sister. Isn't that what you wanted? Don't play games with me. Isn't that exactly what we should be doing? I gesture at the game board. Playing games? She grabs my arm, pulls me behind a set piece. Listen carefully. Mom told me about your little workshop project. Whatever you're planning, it won't work. I've already had the technical team verify everything. The game works perfectly. Of course it does. I built it. No one will believe that. Her voice turns sickeningly sweet. Poor Jennifer, always so jealous of her sister's success, always trying to take credit for others' achievements. Mom and Dad are worried about you, you know. They think you might need help. The implied threat lands like a physical blow. She's already planted the seeds, already prepared her defense. Any attempt to expose her will make me look unstable, vindictive. Ms. Evelyn, a tech approaches with a tablet. We need to verify some specifications about the emotional algorithm. Of course. Evelyn's perfect smile returns. Jennifer was just leaving. I walk away, hands shaking. Near the exit, I spot Gianna waiting. She waves me over, expression grave. I've got the patent paperwork ready, she whispers. One phone call and we can... It's not enough. I watch Evelyn fumble through technical questions. She's thought of everything. Any legal challenge will take too long, and she's already positioned me as the unstable sister. Then what's your plan? I pull out my phone, show her the modified code. During the demonstration, when she fails to explain how it works, Jennifer, no. Gianna grabs my wrist. That's not justice. That's revenge. It won't fix anything. It'll show everyone who she really is. Will it? She looks at me hard. Or will it show them exactly who she says you are? Before I can respond, Shane's voice booms across the studio. Places everyone. Full rehearsal in 5. I have to go, I tell Gianna, pulling away. Wait. She hands me a business card. Patent lawyer. Just think about it. Please? I stuff the card in my pocket next to the USB drive. On stage, Evelyn practices her introduction, radiant under the lights. She's always been comfortable in the spotlight, probably because she's spent years pushing others into shadows. And for tomorrow's live demonstration, Shane announces, we'll have a special guest player. Evelyn's sister, Jennifer, will join us to showcase this revolutionary game. Evelyn's head snaps toward me, real fear finally cracking through her perfect mask. She knows I could expose her, reveal her theft to millions. The power should feel good. It doesn't, because Gianna's right. Revenge won't fix this. But maybe there's another way. a better way to use tomorrow's demonstration. I touched the USB drive one last time, then let my hand fall away. Evelyn wants to play games? Fine. But this time, we'll play by my rules, and my rules just changed. The studio lights burn hot against my skin as Shane introduces us to the live audience. Evelyn sits across the game board from me, her smile brittle under the makeup. Our parents watch from the front row, beaming with pride. At her, always at her. Today's demonstration will show how the game adapts to players' emotional states, Shane announces. A revolutionary breakthrough by rising star inventor Evelyn. The audience applauds. I focus on the game board between us, its brass pieces gleaming. Each one contains sensors I built, code I wrote, dreams I poured into circuits and silicon. Shall we begin? Shane asks. Evelyn nods, reaching for her first piece. Her hands shake slightly. She knows enough about the game to be dangerous, but not enough to truly understand it, not enough to know what I've done. The game powers up, lights pulsing in patterns only I fully comprehend. Our first few moves are simple, setting up the story. But then Shane asks the question I've been waiting for. Evelyn, can you explain how the emotional mapping actually works? She launches into her rehearsed speech about connection and family, carefully avoiding technical details. But the game is already reading her stress levels, adjusting its response. Fascinating, Shane says, and the algorithmic processing? Perhaps, I cut in, voice steady, we should demonstrate rather than explain. Evelyn shoots me a warning look. I ignore it, placing my next piece deliberately. The board responds, creating a story path about two sisters, one always in shadow, one always in light. Oh my, Shane leans forward. The narrative seems quite personal. The game reflects players' true emotions, I say, watching Evelyn's face. Their authentic selves. She moves her piece quickly, trying to redirect the story. But she doesn't understand the deeper patterns, doesn't see how each choice reveals more truth. The technical architecture, I continue, is actually quite elegant. Each sensor measures micro-expressions, vocal stress patterns, subtle tells that betray our real feelings. Yes, Evelyn stammers. That's exactly how I designed it. Show us, I challenge softly. The audience goes quiet. Even Shane seems to sense the tension crackling between us. Evelyn reaches for another piece, but her hand freezes. The game is creating a story about theft now, about lies and broken trust, about a family blind to the truth. She glances at our parents, at the cameras, at her perfect world starting to crack. There seems to be a malfunction. No malfunction, I say. The game is working exactly as designed. By me. The words hang in the air. In the front row, Mom's smile falters. Dad sits up straighter. What do you mean? Shane asks. I turn to face the cameras directly. Every piece of this game, every circuit, every line of code, every story pathway, I created it. I can prove it, not through revenge or public humiliation, but through the truth hidden in the game itself. Jennifer, Evelyn warns. Each player's moves create a unique signature, I continue, a technical fingerprint that proves who truly understands the system. Would you like to see yours, Evelyn? Her face goes pale. The game board displays her pattern, hesitant, uncertain, revealing her surface-level knowledge. Then it shows mine, deep, complex, intimate understanding of every component. The patent records, I say quietly, will confirm everything, as will the original prototypes, the documentation, the witnesses. Cut to commercial, Evelyn demands, but the producers are too captivated to respond. I place my final piece. The game's lights pulse, telling the true story at last, not through malicious code or engineered failure, but through simple, irrefutable truth. I didn't come here for revenge, I tell her, loud enough for everyone to hear. I came to take back what's mine, not through your methods, lies, and manipulation, but through the very technology you tried to steal. The game board glows brighter, each piece illuminating years of work, of passion, of quiet dedication, while she took the spotlight. Our parents stare at the display, finally seeing the daughter they'd overlooked for so long. The game, I finish softly, doesn't lie, neither do I. Evelyn stands abruptly, knocking pieces aside. But it's too late. The truth is out, captured on camera, proven through technology she never bothered to truly understand. That's quite a demonstration, Shane manages finally. Perhaps not the one we expected, but I stand too, surprisingly calm. No, it's exactly the demonstration this game was designed for, because sometimes the most important stories are the ones that need to be told. The studio erupts in chaos, producers shouting, audience murmuring, our parents frozen in shock. But I keep my eyes on Evelyn as her carefully constructed world crumbles around her. She wanted a show. She got one. Just not the one she expected. The studio's green room feels too small for all the unspoken words hanging in the air. Mom sits rigid on the leather couch. Dad paces by the window. And Evelyn, perfect, polished Evelyn, stares at her reflection in the dark television screen. How long? Mom finally asks. How long have you been stealing your sister's work? Evelyn flinches. Don't. Dad's voice cracks like a whip. We saw the evidence, the patents, the code, everything. I stand by the door, watching my sister's carefully constructed world continue to unravel. It should feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel tired. I tried to tell you, I say quietly. Every time I showed you my projects, tried to explain my work, but you only saw what Evelyn wanted you to see. Because she made it accessible, Mom starts, but the excuse sounds hollow even to her now. She made it what? I step forward. Palatable, acceptable, everything I created wasn't good enough until she claimed it as her own. Evelyn turns from the screen, tears smearing her perfect makeup. You don't understand. I had to be the successful one, the one who made something of herself. Without that, what am I? You're my sister. The words surprise even me. That should have been enough? A knock at the door makes us all jump. Shane enters, looking uncomfortable. The producers want to know if we're continuing with the segment. Before anyone can respond, I walk to my game board, still sitting on the coffee table. Yes, but this time, we play for real. All of us. Jennifer, Dad starts. Sit down. I power up the board, watching the familiar lights dance. It's time we all saw the truth. They hesitate, then one by one take their places around the table. I distribute the pieces, each one containing years of work, of hope, of pain. The game reads emotions, I explain, meeting each of their eyes. Not just surface feelings, but deeper patterns. The stories we tell ourselves, the lies we believe. The first moves are tentative. The board responds, weaving our choices into a narrative about family, about expectations, about the weight of being seen or overlooked. Every time I succeeded, Evelyn whispers, moving her piece, I was terrified you'd outshine me. You always were the brilliant one. The game shifts, revealing her fear, her desperate need for validation. Mom's hand shakes as she takes her turn. She swallows hard. I thought pushing you would make you more like your sister, more normal, I finish. The board pulses, telling a story of conformity and rebellion. Dad's piece creates patterns of regret, of opportunities missed while chasing someone else's dreams. The game weaves it all together, our pain, our jealousy, our love twisted by expectations. I never wanted to hurt you, Evelyn says softly. I didn't know how to be special next to you. You created impossible things. I only knew how to sell them. You could have asked. I place my final piece. We could have worked together, really worked together. The board glows brighter, showing us what could have been. Two sisters combining their strengths instead of fighting over spotlight. Can we? Mom wipes her eyes. Can we start over? No. I power down the game, but we can start from here, with the truth. Shane clears his throat from the doorway. The network wants to do a follow-up segment about the real inventor. I look at Evelyn, see the fear in her eyes. Fear of exposure, of consequences, of losing everything she built on lies. Tell them, I say, that the game was a collaboration, a sister with vision, a sister with technical brilliance, both necessary, both valuable. Evelyn's head snaps up. After everything I did, I'm not doing it for you. I meet her gaze. I'm doing it because I'm tired of games. Real innovation comes from connection, not competition. That's what this was always about. The tension in the room shifts, something brittle becoming bendable. Not broken, not fixed, but changing. Besides, I add, gathering my things, I have other inventions to work on, real ones, under my own name. I leave them there, stepping out into the studio's hallway where Deacon and Gianna wait. Behind me, I hear Mom call my name, hear Evelyn's heels on the floor, hear the future rushing up to meet us all. But for the first time, I don't turn back. I've spent too long living in shadows of others' making. It's time to step into my own light. After all, that's what the game was really about. Not winning or losing, but finding your own way to shine.
How quaint, my sister Clara said, her voice dripping with contempt as she eyed my dusty overalls. I had just stepped off the red-eye from Nebraska and hadn't even had a chance to shower before being whisked off to the welcome dinner for my sister's posh New York wedding. Clara looked pristine as always in her designer dress and impeccable updo, sitting next to her smarmy fiancé Mark at the head of the long dining table. Mom shot me a weary look. We weren't accustomed to such finery, having lived simple farm lives back home. Dad stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. It's just Clara's little joke, Mark said with an indulgent chuckle. I think it's charming that Lena here helps out on the farm. Gets her hands dirty, doesn't she? My face burned. I opened my mouth to respond, but Dad's hand on my arm stopped me. Why don't you tell us about the farm, Lena? Mark prompted. Clara doesn't like to dwell on the past, but I'd love to hear how you spend your days. All eyes turned to me as I fumbled for words. Clara and Mark's wealthy friends waited expectantly, lips pursed as if poised to smirk at my unsophisticated life. Well, we milk the cows every morning, I began. By hand, a woman named Vivian cut in. How precious. The table erupted into patronizing chuckles. Mom's eyes glistened. Now, Vivian, Clara chided lightly, we mustn't embarrass Lena. Not everyone can afford certain luxuries. My face burned hotter, but before I could respond, Dad slammed his fist on the table. That's enough, he bellowed. The laughter died instantly. We may not have your money, but we can sure as hell teach you a thing or two about decency. He stood abruptly and stormed out, Mom rushing after him. Clara didn't move, just swirled her wine glass lazily. So dramatic, she sighed. I suppose that's what happens when you waste your life in a rural backwater. Something in me snapped. You think you're better than us? I seethed through gritted teeth. Let me tell you something. That farm put food on the table your whole damn childhood. It clothed you, kept a roof over your head, and this is the thanks Mom and Dad get? Clara arched one carefully sculpted eyebrow. It's not my fault they didn't aspire to anything more. I'm finally getting married into a respectable family. She ran a proprietary hand over Mark's chest. I won't make the same mistakes. Mark raised his glass. To upward mobility, he toasted. Their friends tittered appreciatively. I saw red. Before I could stop myself, I swept Clara's crystal champagne flute off the table. It shattered dramatically on the marble floor. Lena, Clara shrieked, leaping up from her seat. No, Clara, I seethed through gritted teeth. You don't get to look down on the people who sacrificed everything for you. It's time someone teach you a real lesson in humility." I spun on my heel and rushed out, leaving shocked gasps in my wake. My hands still trembled with rage as I comforted my distraught parents back in our small, shabby hotel room. Clara's cruelty had only steeled my resolve. If she refused to appreciate her family, I would make her. One way or another, before this wedding was over, my dear sister would finally pay for her arrogance. The next few days were a flurry of wedding preparations. With Clara caught up in the minutiae of floral arrangements, menu tastings, and dress fittings, I was relegated to the background, more servant than sister, expected to fetch and carry, while Clara basked in the glow of playing bride-to-be. She barely spoke 2 words to me that didn't involve an order or complaint. As I helped address invitation after endless invitation, Clara prattled on to her maids of honor about the preparations like a general planning a military offensive. "No, the table linens must be ivory, not ecru," she was saying now, exasperated. "Honestly, must I do everything myself?" I gritted my teeth as I continued scribbling names and addresses. Clara knew nothing of doing things herself. She'd never gotten her hands dirty in her life. "Oh, Lena, don't smudge the ink," Clara chided as she peered over my shoulder. "Hurry up with those. I need help addressing the place cards next." I slammed my pen down. "Actually, I think I'll take a break," I said coldly. Before she could protest, I was out the door. My blood boiled as I roamed the manicured grounds of the lavish Hamptons estate Clara and Mark had rented for the wedding. Everywhere I turned, more extravagance confronted me. The small fortune wasted on flowers, champagne, and decor could have funded our farm for a year. And for what? A gaudy show of wealth and status. Clara didn't appreciate the true value of family. She was marrying Mark for his money and influence in her new social circle. Well, I would make sure her facade came crashing down. I found my parents resting in the shade of a large oak tree, my dad's fingers interlaced with my mom's. Clara hardly had time for them either, brushing them off whenever they tried embracing their only other daughter. My resolve hardened. She would not get away with hurting them like this. I returned inside and quietly snuck into Mark's study. Rifling through the drawers, I found bank statements and investment reports. I pocketed a few. Evidence of Mark's shady financials would make for a handy reveal at the wedding reception. Next, I dug up Clara's day planner and snapped photos highlighting her pretentious schedules and social calendar. Let's see how her fancy friends feel knowing they're accessories to flaunt, not true companions. My phone buzzed. Speak of the devil. Where are you? Clara's shrill voice demanded. I'm not paying you to wander around all day. The place cards need addressing. I rolled my eyes. On my way, I said evenly before hanging up. I tucked the evidence safely into my bag. Soon, Clara, soon you'll wish you had treated your family better when you had the chance. The stage was set. My sister's arrogance would be her downfall. Over the next few days, my plan took shape. Clara's wedding would come crashing down in a blaze of exposed secrets and hypocrisy. I continued playing the role of dutiful sister in public, gritting my teeth through Clara's condescending barbs and imperious demands. But behind the scenes, I was gathering ammunition. My unlikely ally was the wedding planner, Samantha. We had instantly bonded over our shared frustration with Clara's tyrannical behavior. 200 roses in the centerpieces aren't enough. Apparently we need 300, Samantha fumed. Does she think money grows on trees? Want to take her down a peg? I asked casually. Samantha raised her eyebrows. What did you have in mind? Let's just say the wedding photos won't be quite as Pinterest perfect as Clara expects. A slow grin spread across Samantha's face. I'm listening. We plotted in hushed whispers when Clara wasn't around. Samantha recruited other vendors who'd been subjected to Clara's wrath, including the florist, the band, and the caterer. One glimpse of Mark's shady financial records had been enough to convince them. Piece by piece, I collected candid photos and video clips capturing Clara and Mark's true, arrogant, and conceited nature. A lifetime of pent-up resentment fueled me. My parents noticed a change in my demeanor and cornered me one afternoon in the garden. You seem distracted, honey, Mom said, worry creasing her brow. What are you planning? Dad asked outright. I sighed. No point hiding it from them. Don't worry, I said cryptically. I'm going to make sure Clara finally pays for looking down on this family. Dad frowned, but Mom squeezed my hand and nodded. Just be careful, she whispered. I knew they were hurting as much as I was. It was time to take a stand. The night before the rehearsal dinner, I snuck into the banquet hall early to meet with the staff. As we discussed logistics, I saw red lipstick smudged on a half-empty champagne glass on the head table. Interesting. I showed the photo to Samantha, whose eyes narrowed. That little of snake, she muttered. I always knew she was cheating. It was almost too perfect. Clara's sweet facade hid a rotten core. At the dinner, I surreptitiously filmed as she introduced Mark to her friends, fawning over him for show while flashing her alleged lover coy looks across the room. Gotcha. Afterwards, I added the evidence to my growing dossier. Clara's wedding was about to become a one-way ticket to public humiliation. Let's see how her elite circle reacted when they realized they'd been cozying up to a fraud. By the time I was done, Clara's reputation would be in tatters, and my family would finally have its revenge. The day before the wedding, I woke up filled with purpose. Today would involve neutralizing potential obstacles before executing my plan to humiliate Clara tomorrow. My first stop was the boutique where Clara was having her final dress fitting. I needed to get rid of her loyal minion and maid of honor, Jen. I found Jen sipping mimosas. Time to sow some doubt. Jen, I exclaimed, just who I wanted to see. I can't thank you enough for being Clara's rock through all this chaos. Jen preened. Of course I'd do anything for her. We've been best friends since college. Exactly, I said conspiratorially. Can I tell you something in confidence, as her sister? Jen leaned in eagerly. I'm worried about Clara and Mark, I said, feigning concern. Their relationship seems so transactional, you know? I even saw Mark getting cozy with another woman. Jen's eyes went wide. No, Clara said they're soulmates. She's dreamed of this wedding her whole life. I shook my head. I'm telling you as her sister, something seems off. Just keep your eyes open, okay? I'd hate to see Clara get hurt. Planting those seeds was all it took. By the time Clara finished her dress fitting, Jen was nowhere to be found. One down. Next was Mark himself. I found him reviewing seating charts. Showtime. Hey sis, Mark grinned smugly. Come to check everything meets your quaint standards? I ignored the jab. Actually, I wanted to apologize. I may have given folks the wrong impression about you. Mark blinked in surprise but quickly composed himself. Really? I appreciate that, Lena. Now to cast doubt. I can tell how much you love and respect Clara, I said, laying it on thick. All those fancy investors she's introducing you to, you'd never take advantage, right? Mark's eyes narrowed slightly before he laughed. Of course not. I'm all about family. He was a worse actor than I thought. Luckily, it didn't matter. Mark could now see me as a potential threat. Finally, I had to sabotage Clara's preparations. I found her sipping champagne while having her makeup done. Clara, you should reconsider those centerpieces, I said casually. White lilies would look so much better than roses. As expected, she flared up instantly. Excuse me? I picked ivory roses months ago. I shrugged. Oops, my mistake. Too late to change them, I guess. Clara's brow furrowed. Good. A tiny seed of superstitious doubt planted. She was too focused on bridezilla details to see the bigger picture. Everything was in place for the main event. Just one more day before Clara's entire facade collapsed. My pulse quickened. After tomorrow, my family would finally have justice. The night before Clara's wedding, I could hardly sleep, too wired with anticipation for the coming day. In the darkness, I reviewed the damning evidence against my sister one final time. The credit card statements proving Mark's shady business deals. Testimonials from mistreated wedding vendors eager for payback. Even Clara's own petty commentary against her nearest and dearest. I had it all. At dawn, I slipped out to the garden to watch the sunrise. Today was Judgment Day. My thoughts were interrupted by footsteps on the gravel behind me. I whirled around to see Clara standing there in her silk robe, arms crossed. Well, what are you hiding? She demanded. Of course, she must have noticed my repeated whispered conversations and furtive movements these past days. I quickly composed myself. Just wedding jitters, I said lightly. I want everything to go perfectly for you, sis. Clara's eyes narrowed. I don't believe you. Spill it. When I stayed silent, her face flushed with rage. She grabbed my arm roughly. Tell me what you're planning right now, she hissed, all pretense of civility gone. behind the mask of the polished socialite lurked my sister's real petty, domineering nature. I wrenched my arm from her grasp. "Take your hands off me," I spat. "I don't answer to you." We stood there, eyes locked, the growing dawnlight illuminating Clara's reddening face. "Have it your way," she said coldly. "But if you ruin things for me, I'll make you pay." I stepped close until we were nose to nose. "Too late for that," I said quietly. "You've been the one making Mom and Dad pay your whole life. It ends today." I stormed off before she could respond, adrenaline coursing through me. Only a few more hours now. My expose would ruin Clara socially and financially. Let's see how her so-called friends reacted when they realized she was a shallow, materialistic fraud. She deserved it after a lifetime of looking down on us. I almost wished I could see her reaction when it happened, the dawning humiliation and panic as her facade collapsed. But I couldn't risk being caught prematurely. I would be far away by the time Clara's world came crashing down. Until then, I had to play it cool. Clara's suspicions meant I needed an ironclad alibi when things went down at the reception. Luckily, Jen was easy enough to manipulate. A few vague hints about concerns regarding Clara was enough to provoke an epic meltdown. Right on schedule, Jen barged into Clara's suite, sobbing about duplicity and betrayal, while Clara desperately tried to salvage her closest friendship before walking down the aisle. I made my escape. I had an important video to prepare and send anonymously when the time was right. Soon, Clara, your judgment day is at hand. Get ready to reap what you've sown. The day of Clara's wedding dawned bright and clear. Inside, however, a storm was brewing. As Clara glided down the aisle on my father's arm, smiling radiantly, I maintained a pleasant facade. But inside, my heart hammered with anticipation. The ceremony proceeded smoothly. If Clara suspected anything amiss, she hid it well behind her practiced porcelain smile. At last, it was time. As waiters began circulating with champagne at the reception, I slipped away to make the call. Moments later, the projector flickered on, casting an enlarged video onto the blank wall behind the head table. For one blissful moment, Clara's smile persisted, oblivious. Then chaos erupted. On screen, grainy footage showed Mark kissing a woman who was distinctly not my sister. Gasps and shouts filled the air as all eyes turned to the front. Clara's pristine smile had frozen, lips parted in horror. Mark lunged for the projector, but shoved him back into his seat. "You lying piece of filth!" The raw fury in her voice was terrifying to behold. "How dare you?" Mark stammered meaningless denials, but Clara was no longer listening. Her burning glare turned to the crowd who watched, transfixed and murmuring. "As for the rest of you backstabbing vipers," she seethed, "let's see how you like hearing what I really think of you all." With that, the video changed to show Clara at the bridal boutique, trash-talking guests by name. "Charles acts so enlightened, but he slept with half of Manhattan." "Oh, please. We all know Alexandra bought her way into the symphony board." "That cow Vivian is just obsessed with me." It went on and on, Clara mercilessly shredding apart the facade of polite society and so-called friendships. I watched, transfixed, as these arrogant snobs reacted with slack-jawed shock at her vitriol. Murmurs turned to outraged shouts. "How could you?" Vivian cried, aghast. "I thought we were friends." Alexandra stood abruptly. "I won't stand here and listen to these lies." She stormed away, others moving to follow. The tableau of Clara's public evisceration was even sweeter than I imagined. I drank it in, watching with quiet satisfaction as her privileged world crumbled to dust, until Clara's wild gaze fixed on me. In 2 strides, she crossed the space between us and struck me hard across the face. "You!" she snarled. "I should have known you'd try to ruin everything, you jealous little—" Whatever she planned to say next was lost as Mark grabbed her arm and snapped, "Enough!" To the remaining guests, he announced, "The wedding is off." Gasps rippled through the room. In the ensuing stunned silence, Mark turned on his heel and walked away. Clara stood motionless amid the ruins of her sham marriage and reputation. Her eyes met mine one final time, burning with impotent rage. Then she turned and fled. It was over. I had my revenge at last. Clara finally knew how it felt to have her world humiliated and exposed without mercy. For a moment, I thought I would feel triumphant. Instead, as I gazed out at the destruction I had wrought, an empty sadness overcame me. This was justice, but not redemption. My sister was not the only one with lessons to learn. As Clara's ruined wedding lay in ashes around me, I realized my own path forward remained unclear. In the chaotic aftermath of Clara's ruined wedding, I slipped away unnoticed. I knew she would come looking for me soon, crazed with anger and humiliation. Sure enough, I had just reached my room when Clara burst through the door, eyes ablaze. "You!" She advanced on me, hand raised to strike again. "I want you gone. Your petty jealousy has cost me everything." I stood my ground. "Look closer, Clara. I'm not the one who brought this on yourself." "Don't you dare," she shrieked. I was finally becoming someone, marrying into a good family, not like the nobodies we come from. Her words stung, but I held firm. "Is that all that matters to you? Status and money? What about finding real meaning in life?" Clara let out a hollow, bitter laugh. "Don't lecture me about meaning. Real life isn't some quaint middle American fantasy. I thought you were jealous of my perfect life." "Perfect?" I spat back. "It was a sham built on deceit and vanity." Clara flinched at the harsh truth. For a moment her haughty mask slipped, revealing the scared, insecure girl within, but then her eyes hardened again. "Get out," she hissed, blind fury returning. "I never want to see you again." She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I stood there shaking, the weight of what I had destroyed hitting me. A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. It was Samantha, the wedding planner. Her smile was bittersweet. "Quite a day, huh?" she said wryly. "I'm almost sorry it's over." I let out a shaky laugh. "It's for the best. Clara needs to change." Samantha nodded. "Hopefully she learns her lesson. And what about you?" I looked away. I didn't regret exposing Clara, but doubts were creeping in. "I need time to think," I said quietly. Samantha squeezed my shoulder. "Whenever you're ready, there are good people waiting." With that, she left. I wish I shared her optimism. Clara was right. I had been jealous of her seemingly perfect life. I realized now no life is perfect, only meaningful if lived with humility and compassion. The path forward would not be easy for either of us. But as I watched Clara's borrowed Bentley disappear down the gravel driveway, this time for good, I knew one thing was certain. Our sibling relationship was shattered forever. For better or worse, things would never be the same again. In the weeks following Clara's failed wedding, the gossip rags had a field day, mocking Manhattan's runaway bride. Her picture graced their covers for a week straight before some other society scandal took over. I read the headlines with a sort of numb ambivalence. I had wanted to see Clara humbled and brought low. Yet now that she was, I felt neither vindication nor satisfaction. Only sadness for what our family had become. My parents tiptoed around me, unsure what to say after everything that had happened. The unspoken distance between us was worse than any lecture. 2 weeks later, I still hadn't left New York. I kept replaying the sequence of events in my head, wishing I could unravel the tangled knot of sisterhood, jealousy, and retribution that had led us here. One day, as I wandered aimlessly through Central Park, my thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice. "Lena? Is that you?" I turned in surprise to see Samantha hurrying towards me, beaming. In spite of myself, I smiled back. Samantha's warm caring was a balm amidst the emotional wreckage. We fell easily into conversation, strolling together around the pond as she caught me up on wedding gossip. Finally she paused, expression growing serious. "Forgive me for prying, but you seem burdened," she said gently. "Have you reconciled with Clara yet?" I let out a harsh, brittle laugh. "Clara and I are done. She'll never forgive me." Samantha squeezed my shoulder. "She will in time, when she's ready to change." I shook my head bitterly. "Clara won't change who she is. I need to accept that." "But you can change who you are," Samantha said. "Leave jealousy and pettiness behind. Forgive others and yourself." Her words resonated within me. I had always thought Clara was the problem in our relationship. Only now did I see my own flaws clearly. In that moment, something shifted inside me. I saw a chance to let go of resentment and embrace empathy. My soul felt lighter than it had in years. I turned and hugged Samantha fiercely. "Thank you," I whispered. "I think I'm finally ready to go home." The next morning I bid my parents a loving goodbye, promising to visit soon. As I boarded my flight back, the possibilities of the future stretched out ahead of me, rewritten. I didn't know if Clara would ever let go of her anger. But I could let go of mine. That was change enough for now. The wheels lifted off, leaving behind the weight of my sisterly grudge. When I returned home, there was a lightness in my step that hadn't been there before. Who knew what life held next? For today I was simply grateful for the wisdom I had found and the compassion I now carried within.
The letter sat on my kitchen counter like a loaded gun. Dad's precise handwriting on cream stationery, the family crest embossed in gold, a reminder of everything I'd earned but would never receive. My hands shook as I reread the words that had shattered my Sunday morning. After careful consideration, I've decided to transfer the majority of the inheritance to Olivia in light of her upcoming wedding. Coffee grew cold beside me as I traced each perfectly formed letter. The same meticulous strokes Dad had used to teach me cursive when I was 7, spending hours practicing together while Olivia played outside. Now those familiar loops spelled out my betrayal. "Jasmine, you there?" Alyssa's voice crackled through my phone speaker. I'd forgotten I'd called her. "He's giving it all to her." My voice sounded hollow, disconnected. "The tech company shares, the summer house, everything Mom left for both of us. He's just giving it away." "That can't be legal. Your mom's will was changed 6 months ago." The paper crumpled in my fist. Dad convinced her while she was sick, said it was best for the family. I could still see Mom's face in those final weeks, pale and drawn, but smiling as she signed the papers Dad brought. "Trust your father," she'd whispered. "He knows what's best." My phone buzzed with an incoming text. "Olivia. Did you get Dad's letter? Can we talk?" I switched off the screen without responding. The same sister who'd sworn we'd always share everything equally was now silent partner to this theft. The same sister whose wedding I'd helped plan for months, spending countless nights reviewing venues and tasting cakes, never suspecting what was coming. "I can't believe she knew," I told Alyssa. "All those wedding meetings, all those sister brunches. She sat there planning my financial execution over mimosas." "Maybe she didn't." "Oh, she knew." The memory surfaced of last week's cake tasting, Olivia's slight smirk when Dad mentioned the family business. I'd attributed it to wedding excitement. Now that smirk burned in my mind like a brand. "I'm coming over," Alyssa declared. "No, I need to think." I hung up before she could argue. My laptop hummed to life as I pulled up the company financials. 10 years I'd spent building the cybersecurity division from scratch, transforming it from Dad's struggling tech consulting firm into an industry leader. Olivia had barely set foot in the office, too busy finding herself through 3 different graduate programs. Another text from Olivia. "Please don't be mad. Dad says this is best for everyone. Best for everyone." The same words he'd used when giving Olivia my childhood bedroom because she needs more space for her art, when paying for her semester abroad while I worked through college, when promoting her boyfriend Oliver to senior management despite his complete lack of qualifications, the familiar ache of being the responsible daughter, the reliable one, the one who never quite measured up despite doing everything right, twisted into something darker, something that tasted like bile and burned like revenge. My phone rang, Dad's number. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing his script. He'd explain his reasoning with that patronizing patience, remind me that family comes first, tell me to be happy for my sister's special time. But as I stared at the blinking cursor on my screen, at the network architecture I'd built with my own hands, a different future began taking shape. Dad had taught me everything about the company's systems, every password, every backdoor, every vulnerability. He'd trusted his reliable daughter with all the keys to the kingdom. "Trust your father," Mom had said. But she never saw this coming. My fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up account access logs and security protocols. Years of being the perfect daughter, the responsible one, the one who never questioned Dad's decisions. It ended today. They wanted to take what was mine? Fine. But they'd forgotten who actually controlled the digital heart of this company. The cursor blinked, waiting for my command. One keystroke could start an avalanche they'd never see coming. My phone buzzed again. Probably Olivia with more placating texts, or Dad with his reasonable explanations. I ignored it, focused on the screen. "You taught me too well, Dad," I whispered, beginning to type. The familiar thrill of coding tingled through my fingers, but this time it wasn't about building. This time, I was going to show them exactly what the reliable daughter could do when pushed too far. I hit enter, and the first domino fell. The code ran silently in the background, while I stared at my reflection in the office bathroom mirror. Same crisp blazer, same carefully styled hair, same mask of professional competence. No one passing me in the halls would guess I'd just planted the seeds of digital chaos in our network. My phone vibrated. Olivia again. 14 missed calls since yesterday. I switched it to silent and practiced my smile, the one that said everything was fine. Just another Monday at the office. There you are! Lucas appeared in the doorway, tablet in hand. The quarterly security audit is due, and marketing needs access to... He stopped, studying my face. You okay? I forced my smile wider. Never better. What does marketing need? But Lucas, my right hand in cybersecurity for 5 years, wasn't buying it. He closed the bathroom door. You look like you're plotting a murder. Just an execution of sorts. I pulled up the company's financial dashboard on my phone, watching the first ripples of my code begin to spread. Small discrepancies, tiny delays in processing. Nothing obvious yet. Did you know about the ownership transfer? His silence was answer enough. How long? My voice stayed steady, professional. The voice Dad had praised during board meetings. Jasmine. Lucas shifted uncomfortably. There were meetings, private ones. Oliver was there. Of course. Oliver, Olivia's fiancé, the man Dad had fast-tracked to senior management. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. Those late nights he'd spent learning the business weren't about work at all. They're announcing it at the wedding, Lucas continued. Full transfer of controlling shares. Oliver's taking over cybersecurity. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as I absorbed this new betrayal. Not just the inheritance then. They were taking my division too. My life's work handed to Oliver, who couldn't code his way out of a paper bag. I need coffee, I announced, walking out before Lucas could see the rage burning behind my eyes. The elevator ride to the lobby gave me time to think. Oliver in charge of cybersecurity meant access to everything, including the subtle traps I'd woven into the system overnight. I needed to accelerate my timeline. Jasmine! I froze halfway across the lobby. Olivia stood by the security desk, wearing the designer dress I'd helped her pick for wedding fittings. She rushed over, arms outstretched for a hug I didn't return. Why aren't you answering my calls? We need to talk about this. About what? I kept my voice light, aware of watching eyes. The secret meetings, the ownership transfer, or how you and Oliver played me for months. Her perfect features crumpled. It's not like that. Dad says the company needs fresh blood, new perspectives. Oliver has amazing ideas. Oliver doesn't know a firewall from a brick wall. The words came out sharp enough to make nearby heads turn. I lowered my voice. But you knew that when you brought him to Dad, didn't you? You're being dramatic. She touched my arm. Nothing has to change. You'll still have your job, your team. Under Oliver? I stepped back. The man who asked me last week if Python was a type of snake? He's learning, and Dad says. Dad says. The words tasted bitter. Tell me something, Liv. When exactly did you plan to mention this? During your wedding toast? Or maybe after the honeymoon, once all the papers were signed? Tears welled in her eyes. The same tears that had always worked on Dad. Please don't be like this. It's my wedding week. I need my sister. For a moment, I saw us as we used to be, sharing secrets, planning futures, swearing nothing would ever come between us. Then I remembered her smirk at the cake tasting. You have what you need, I said quietly. The company, the shares, Oliver. Congratulations on the hat trick, sis. I walked out into the sunshine, leaving her calling my name. My phone buzzed with a text from Lucas. Oliver requesting admin access to security protocols. What should I do? I smiled, thinking of the poison pills buried in those protocols, the digital time bombs waiting to be triggered by exactly that kind of access request. Oliver wanted my system? Fine, let him have it. Standard procedure, I texted back. Give him everything he asks for. The coffee shop across the street was quiet this time of morning. I ordered my usual and opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. One command would accelerate the cascade I'd started, targeting the offshore accounts Dad had set up for Olivia's wedding gift. A new text lit up my phone. From Dad this time. Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss your future with the company. My future? Like I was a problem to be managed, a loose end to be tied up neatly before the wedding. I took a sip of coffee and began to type. They wanted to discuss my future? Perfect. Because I had plans of my own, and they were about to discover exactly what kind of future I could create. The family dining room felt smaller than I remembered, walls closing in as Dad carved the roast with surgical precision. Same Sunday dinner ritual, same heavy silverware that had been Mom's pride. Only now everything felt like a stage set, carefully arranged to manipulate me. The transition will be smooth, Dad said, passing plates. Oliver's quite eager to learn from you. I pushed food around my plate, thinking of the code I'd embedded that morning. The first financial discrepancies should be appearing in the offshore accounts right about now. I'm sure he is. I took a small bite, savoring the moment. How's the wedding planning going, Liv? Olivia brightened. Launch her into details about flowers and table settings. I nodded along, watching Dad's phone from the corner of my eye. Any minute now. His ringtone shattered the carefully orchestrated piece. Excuse me, he said, frowning at the screen. I need to take this. The moment he left, Olivia leaned forward. Please just listen. Oliver really admires your work. He says, don't. I set down my fork. Just don't. Girls? Dad's voice carried from his study, tight with tension. There seems to be an issue with the transfer accounts. I took a slow sip of wine. Oh? He returned, face flushed. The wedding venue payment didn't go through, and there are irregularities in the company accounts. Mercury must be in retrograde, I offered. His eyes narrowed. Jasmine. Yes, Dad? Fix it. The command was so familiar, Dad's go-to solution whenever technology misbehaved. But this time, fixing it wasn't as simple as he thought. I can't, I said, enjoying his confusion. Oliver's in charge of security now, remember? Better ask him. The silence stretched like a rubber band about to snap. Olivia looked between us, realization dawning. What did you do? She whispered. My phone buzzed. Lucas. Emergency at the office. Systems going haywire. Oliver can't access anything. Nothing that can't be undone, I said, standing. Yet. Dad's face darkened. You're making a mistake. No, that was yours. I grabbed my purse. When you decided I was expendable. Jasmine, wait. Olivia caught my arm. We can fix this, as a family. I looked at her perfectly manicured hand on my sleeve, remembering all the times she'd used that touch to get her way. Family. You lost the right to that word when you and Oliver started plotting behind my back. It wasn't like that. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Oliver found out by accident. He overheard Dad talking to the lawyers and he what? The pieces clicked together. He saw an opportunity? Her silence was damning. When? My voice cracked. When did he tell you? 3 months ago. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Right after he proposed. The timeline hit me like a physical blow. 3 months of wedding planning together. 3 months of sister brunches and late-night calls. 3 months of lies. You know what's funny? I pulled free from her grip. I actually helped him pick your engagement ring. Dad stepped forward. Enough. You're upset, I understand. But this childish attempt at revenge— Childish? I laughed, the sound harsh in the formal dining room. You haven't seen anything yet. My phone buzzed again. Lucas. Oliver trying to override security protocols. Systems fighting back. Of course it was. I designed it that way. Every attempt to force access would trigger another layer of encryption, another digital maze. By morning, the company's entire network would be locked down tighter than a bank vault. 1 week, I said, turning to Dad. That's how long you have to make this right. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you a choice. I met his gaze steadily. The same courtesy you never gave me. Olivia started to speak, but Dad held up his hand. And if I refuse? Then I hope Oliver enjoys his honeymoon, trying to rebuild the company's entire digital infrastructure from scratch. The threat hung in the air like smoke. Dad's face reddened, but before he could respond, my phone lit up with an incoming call. From Oliver. I showed them the screen, smiling. Looks like the groom-to-be needs some technical support, but don't worry, I'm sure he'll figure it out. After all, that's why you chose him, right? I walked out, their protests fading behind me. In the driveway, my hands shook as I pulled up the system dashboard. Red warnings flashed across the screen. Oliver's clumsy attempts to regain control doing exactly what I'd planned. Another call came through. Lucas again. I answered, expecting panic about the system chaos. Instead, his voice was oddly calm. There's something you need to see, about why your dad really changed the will. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Not over the phone. He paused. How fast can you get to the office? The office was dark, except for the blue glow of Lucas's monitors, casting shadows across the files spread across his desk. Through the glass walls, I could see Oliver's team working frantically in the conference room, trying to undo my digital trap. Look at this. Lucas handed me a folder. Found it while digging through the encrypted archives. Inside were financial records dating back 3 years. Transfers, investments, shell companies. My hands went cold as I traced the money trail. Mom's medical bills, I whispered. Dad said the insurance covered everything. It didn't. Lucas pulled up more documents on his screen. The experimental treatments, the specialists. Insurance denied most of it. Your dad had to leverage company assets to pay. The numbers blurred before my eyes. Millions spent trying to save her, draining accounts I never knew existed. The company's been running on fumes, Lucas continued. Your cybersecurity division is the only thing keeping it afloat. That's why he needs Oliver. The realization hit like ice water. A merger with Oliver's family's tech firm. Lucas nodded. The wedding's just cover for the business deal. Once Oliver takes control, the merger goes through, saving both companies. I sank into a chair, my carefully constructed revenge plot suddenly feeling hollow. Dad's not betraying me. He's desperate. Jasmine? Alyssa's voice made me jump. She stood in the doorway, concern etched on her face. Your sister's been trying to reach you. I can't deal with her right now. I gestured at the documents. Did you know about any of this? She moved closer, glancing at the papers. I knew things were bad after your mom, but not the details. She touched my shoulder. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, shouting erupted from the conference room. Through the glass, I watched Oliver slam his laptop shut, face red with frustration. Your code's working, Lucas said quietly. Another hour, and the whole system goes into lockdown, including these financial records. The weight of the choice pressed down on me. I could stop it now, before the damage became permanent, before Dad lost everything he'd sacrificed so much to save. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. Please, whatever you're doing, stop. There's more you don't know. More secrets? I muttered. What a surprise. Maybe you should hear her out, Alyssa suggested. Before this goes too far. I stood, moving to the window. Below, city lights sparkled like the future I'd always imagined. Running the company, making Mom proud, keeping the family legacy alive. Now that future was unraveling, replaced by merger documents and hidden debts. If I stop the code, I said slowly, Oliver takes over. The merger goes through. Everything Mom built gets absorbed into his family's corporation. And if you don't? Lucas asked. I watched Oliver storm out of the conference room, phone pressed to his ear. Probably calling Dad, demanding answers about the security system he was supposed to control. Then I burn it all down. My voice sounded distant, even to myself. The merger fails. The company stays independent. But Dad loses everything. There has to be another way, Alyssa pleaded. Talk to them. Make them understand. Like they made me understand? I turned back to Lucas's monitors, fingers flying over the keyboard. They had months to tell me the truth. Instead, they lied, plotted, treated me like a problem to be managed. The code responded to my commands, strengthening its hold on the system. In the conference room, screens began to flicker. Jasmine, wait. Lucas reached for the keyboard. I blocked his access with 2 keystrokes. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not being the good daughter who steps aside. Not this time. My phone lit up with Dad's number. I declined the call, watching the first wave of irreversible changes sweep through the network. They wanted me to trust them, I said, more to myself than my friends. Fine. I trust that they'll do exactly what they've always done, whatever it takes to keep their secrets. Alyssa grabbed my arm. This isn't you. You're angry, I get it, but… No, this is exactly me. I shrugged her off. The me they created when they decided I didn't deserve the truth. Through the glass, Oliver's team was packing up, defeated. My phone buzzed again. Olivia. Mom made me promise not to tell you. Before she died, please call me. I stared at the message, a new kind of cold spreading through my chest. What final secret had Mom taken to her grave? What promise had she extracted from Olivia? The cursor blinked on Lucas's screen, waiting. One command would trigger the final phase, sealing everyone's fate. My fingers hovered over the keys as Mom's voice echoed in my memory. Trust your father. He knows what's best. I started typing. The coffee shop was empty at midnight, just me and the barista, who'd long stopped asking if I wanted refills. My laptop screen glowed with cascading lines of code, the digital equivalent of watching a building burn. You look terrible! I jumped. Oliver stood by my table, his usual polished appearance rumpled after hours of fighting my security protocols. Shouldn't you be at your bachelor party? I closed the laptop, but not before he glimpsed the system dashboard. Funny thing about bachelor parties. He sat uninvited. They're less fun when your company's imploding. Your company? The words tasted bitter. You mean the one you're acquiring through marriage? His face hardened. Is that what you think? That I'm some corporate raider who seduced your sister for a business deal? Aren't you? I love her. The simple declaration caught me off guard. The merger wasn't my idea. It was your mother's. The world tilted sideways. What? She knew the company was failing. Knew your dad would never admit it. Oliver pulled out his phone, showing me an email. She reached out to my family months before she died. The timestamp hit me first, 2 weeks before Mom's final decline. Then the words, "My daughters deserve better than watching their father's pride destroy their inheritance. The merger is the only way." She never said, my voice cracked. She made Olivia promise to keep quiet. Wanted you focused on the company, not worried about her plans. He paused. Or her diagnosis. I knew about the diagnosis, but even as I said it, something nagged at my memory. Mom's insistence that I take that business trip during her last week. Dad's strange relief when I said I'd go. Did you know it wasn't the cancer that killed her? Oliver's voice was gentle. She stopped treatment early, used the money to save the company instead. The coffee cup slipped from my numb fingers, spilling across the table. Oliver grabbed napkins, but I barely noticed. She chose to die? The words came out strangled. She chose to protect her family's future. He mopped up coffee. The merger wasn't about taking your company. It was about saving it, and you, from your father's pride. My phone buzzed. Lucas. System lockdown complete. Point of no return in 15 minutes. Why are you telling me this now? I searched Oliver's face for deception. Because in 15 minutes, you'll destroy everything your mother died to protect. He stood. And Olivia will never forgive either of us. The mention of my sister sent fresh pain through my chest. She lied to me. You all did. Ooh, yes. He didn't flinch. To honor your mother's last wish. To give you time to grieve without carrying this burden too. He headed for the door, then turned back. You know what's ironic? Your mother said you'd be the one to save the company. That your brilliance would secure its future. Instead, I'm destroying it. Are you? He raised an eyebrow. Or are you proving her right? My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. Please come home. There's something you need to see. The merger papers, I said. They're ready, aren't they? Oliver nodded. Waiting on your father's desk, along with a letter your mother left for you. My fingers trembled as I pulled up the system dashboard. 13 minutes until total lockdown. 13 minutes to decide if revenge was worth betraying Mom's final sacrifice. You know what really keeps me up at night? Oliver lingered in the doorway. Wondering if I deserve any of this. The company, Olivia, your mother's trust. He met my eyes. Do you ever wonder the same thing? He left before I could answer, the bell above the door chiming softly. Through the window, I watched him walk away, no longer seeing the corporate usurper I'd imagined, but someone else caught in Mom's final gambit. My screen flashed. System lockdown initiating. Proceed YN. Mom's words echoed in my head. My daughters deserve better. Another text from Dad. Your mother wanted you to lead this company, not destroy it. Come home, please. 11 minutes. The cursor blinked, waiting for my command. In the darkened window, my reflection stared back, Mom's eyes in my face, asking silently if revenge was worth destroying her last gift to us all. I opened a new command window and began to type. Not to destroy this time, but to build something new from the ashes of all our secrets. The real question wasn't whether I deserved any of this. It was whether I could become the daughter Mom believed I could be, the one strong enough to save our family from itself. 10 minutes left to find out. Dad's study looked exactly as it had when I was a child. Leather-bound books, Mom's photographs, the faint scent of pipe tobacco he'd quit smoking years ago. Only now, spread across his desk, lay the evidence of our family's unraveling. You came. He stood as I entered, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The merger documents sat untouched beside a cream-colored envelope with my name in Mom's handwriting. 8 minutes until system lockdown. I checked my phone. Start talking. Instead of speaking, he handed me Mom's letter. The paper felt fragile, like it might crumble along with the last of my certainties. My dearest Jasmine, if you're reading this, I've failed to tell you the truth in person. Your father will blame himself for that. Let him. Guilt has always been his preferred currency. The company is failing, not because of your father's choices, but because of mine. Those experimental treatments weren't just expensive, they were investments in a competing technology. I gambled our future on a cure that didn't exist. Your father wanted to sell everything, start fresh, but I knew that would destroy you both. The proud man who built this company from nothing, and the brilliant daughter who made it soar. The merger was my solution. Oliver's family brings the capital we need, while you bring the innovation that will save us all. Forgive your sister for her silence. Forgive your father for his pride. But most of all, forgive me for making you bear this burden alone. Lead them well. All my love, Mom. My vision blurred. She knew about everything. She knew you'd fight the merger. Dad's voice was rough. Knew you'd see it as a betrayal rather than salvation. So she orchestrated all of it? My laugh sounded hollow. Oliver and Olivia's relationship? The inheritance change? Oliver and Olivia were unexpected, but convenient. He picked up the merger documents. Your mother saw an opportunity to unite the families personally as well as professionally. My phone buzzed. Lucas. 5 minutes. Security protocols awaiting final command. She was wrong about one thing, I said, watching Dad's face. The company's not failing because of her choices or yours. I turned my laptop around, showing him the real financial records I'd uncovered. Someone's been embezzling funds for months. Someone with high-level access. The color drained from his face. That's impossible. Only family has that level of clearance. Exactly. I pulled up the transaction logs. Care to guess whose authorization codes were used? Understanding dawned in his eyes. Oliver. No. I hit one final key, revealing the truth. Olivia. The study door opened. Olivia stood there, still in her wedding planning outfit, tears streaming down her face. I can explain. The gambling debts? I asked quietly. Or how you've been stealing from Mom's medical fund since before she died? Dad staggered, gripping his desk. Tell me this isn't true. I was going to pay it back. Olivia's voice cracked. Oliver's family's money would cover everything. The merger would hide the missing funds. My phone, 3 minutes to lockdown. That's why you pushed for the quick engagement, I realized. Why you needed the merger to happen before anyone looked too closely at the books. I didn't mean for Mom to... She choked on the words. To die believing her daughter betrayed everything she built? The rage I'd been directing at Dad shifted targets. To sacrifice herself for a company you were secretly destroying? Jasmine, Dad's voice shook. Stop the lockdown. Why should I? The hurt spilled out. So Olivia's theft can be quietly buried? So Oliver's family can sweep in and save us? Because your mother was right about one thing. He handed me the merger documents. You're the only one who can save this company, not by destroying it, but by leading it. 1 minute remaining. Olivia stepped forward. I'll confess. Pay everything back. Just please, don't let Mom's sacrifice be for nothing. My finger hovered over the keyboard. One command would seal everyone's fate. Olivia's crimes exposed. The merger destroyed. Our family's legacy ended by our own hands. The cursor blinked, counting down the seconds. In Mom's photograph on the wall, she smiled at us all, believing until the end that her daughters would choose love over pride, family over revenge. 30 seconds, I said, looking at my sister. That's how long you have to tell me the whole truth. Everything you've hidden, everything you've stolen. And then? I thought of Mom's words. Lead them well. Then we'll see what kind of leader I really am. The clock ticked down as Olivia began to speak, each word another piece of our shattered family falling into place. Behind her, Dad gripped the desk like a man watching his world collapse. And maybe it was. But from these ruins, something new would rise. Something built on truth instead of secrets, strength instead of pride. The final countdown began. 300,000 from the Cancer Research Fund. Olivia's voice cracked. 200,000 from the pension accounts. The rest. She swallowed hard. The rest from Mom's treatment fund. Each confession landed like a physical blow. The numbers on my screen confirmed everything. Nearly $1 million bled away through careful manipulations, hidden transfers, deleted records. 10 seconds remained on the lockdown countdown. Why? Dad's question came out barely above a whisper. Because I couldn't stop. Olivia's designer dress suddenly looked cheap, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. The casino loans, the online betting, I thought I could win it back. 5 seconds. And Oliver? I forced myself to ask. Does he know? No. She wrapped her arms around herself. He thinks the merger is just business. That's why I needed it to happen fast, before he could look too closely at the accounts. 2 seconds. Jasmine! Dad's voice steadied. Whatever you decide, know that your mother would be proud. 1 second. I closed my eyes, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Mom's voice echoed in my memory. Lead them well. The clock hit 0. My fingers moved, executing a different command than anyone expected. On my screen, the system lockdown protocol shifted, transforming into something new. What are you doing? Olivia stepped closer, peering at the scrolling code. Giving us a choice. I turned the laptop so they could see. The system's locked, but not destroyed. I'm creating 3 separate access keys. Understanding dawned in Dad's eyes. One for each of us. Any 2 keys together can unlock the system. My fingers flew across the keyboard. But it requires agreement, cooperation, no more unilateral decisions. And if we can't agree? Olivia's voice shook. Then the system stays locked. The merger fails, and everything Mom tried to protect dies with her secrets. The program finished compiling. 3 digital keys appeared on screen, waiting to be claimed. There's more. I met Olivia's eyes. The keys come with conditions. First, you repay everything you stole. starting with Mom's medical fund. She nodded, fresh tears falling. Second, you get help. Real help, not just promises. And third? Dad asked. The merger proceeds, but with modifications. I pulled up the new terms I'd drafted while racing to the house. Oliver's family gets their partnership, but the cybersecurity division remains independent, under my control. You'd trust me with a key? Olivia whispered. After everything? No. The word came out sharp. I'm trusting Mom's belief that somewhere under all those lies is the sister I used to know, the one who'd rather face consequences than destroy our family. Dad picked up the merger documents. Oliver's family won't like these changes. Then they can walk away. I stood straighter. But they should know that without my division, they're buying a shell. The real value was never in the assets Olivia stole or the accounts you leveraged. It was in what Mom knew all along. The innovation, the potential, the future we could build together. The study fell silent, except for the soft hum of my laptop. Outside, dawn was breaking, painting the sky in shades of possibility. I'll take the deal. Olivia's voice was quiet but firm. Whatever it costs, whatever I have to do, I choose family. Dad looked between us. His daughters, so different, yet both shaped by his choices, his pride, his love. Your mother once told me our greatest legacy wouldn't be the company. He picked up her photograph. It would be teaching our daughters to rise above our mistakes. Is that a yes? I held my breath. He set down the photograph and reached for the laptop. Generate the keys. My program hummed to life, creating 3 unique digital signatures. With trembling fingers, Olivia claimed hers first. Dad followed, his businesslike facade cracking as the weight of the moment hit him. I stared at the final key. My key. The power to lock or unlock our future glowing on the screen. One last chance to choose revenge over redemption. Mom smiled from her photograph as I reached for the keyboard. In the end, she'd known this moment would come. Known I would have to choose between being right and being family. Together? I asked, looking at my sister and father. They moved to either side of me, our hands joining over the keyboard. In that moment, I saw us clearly, not as the perfect family we'd pretended to be, but as the flawed, struggling, loving people we actually were. Together, they echoed. I pressed enter, and our new future began. The wedding venue looked different in daylight, stripped of twinkle lights and romantic illusions. Olivia sat beside me on the stone steps, both of us staring at the empty parking lot where guests should have been arriving. Oliver's family is furious, she said, smoothing her casual sundress, so different from the wedding gown hanging unworn in her closet. Dad says they're threatening lawsuits. Let them. I handed her a coffee. They won't find anything. The system's clean now, all traces of the embezzlement erased. Your repayment will look like normal transfers. Why did you do that? Cover my tracks? Because Mom protected us, even when it hurt. I sipped my own coffee. Seems like a family tradition. My phone buzzed. Lucas confirming the new security protocols were in place. The company network hummed along under shared control, 3 keys working in harmony. I found something else in the old records, I said quietly. About Mom's treatments. Olivia tensed beside me. What? She didn't stop them just to save money. I pulled out a medical report. They were working. The experimental drug was actually fighting the cancer. But then why? Because the treatment would have taken years. Years of draining company resources. Years of watching Dad struggle to keep everything afloat. I handed her the report. She chose a faster ending on her terms. Olivia's hands shook as she read. She knew about my gambling back then, didn't she? That's why she made me promise to keep quiet. She knew about all of us. My anger, your addiction, Dad's pride. I watched a delivery van pull up, workers beginning to dismantle the wedding decorations. She wasn't trying to save the company. She was trying to save her family. By dying? By forcing us to face each other, to choose what kind of people we wanted to be. Olivia leaned against my shoulder, like she used to when we were kids. I start therapy tomorrow. Real therapy, not just the corporate counseling Dad suggested. I know. I got the confirmation email. She sat up. You're monitoring my email? I'm monitoring everything. I met her gaze steadily. That's the deal. Total transparency, or the key gets revoked. Your choice, every day. And you? What's keeping you honest? I pulled out Mom's letter, creased from constant reading. This line here, lead them well. She didn't say lead the company well or lead the merger well. She said them. Us. The hardest leadership challenge of all. A familiar car pulled into the lot, Oliver's sleek BMW. He stepped out, looking uncertain in casual clothes instead of his usual suit. He still loves me, Olivia whispered, even after learning everything. Then he's smarter than I gave him credit for. I stood, brushing off my jeans. The merger papers are ready, different terms, but the core partnership intact. If he's still interested. Are you sure, after what I did? I'm sure about one thing. I helped her up. Mom believed in second chances, even when we didn't deserve them. Oliver approached slowly, hands in his pockets. Behind him, workers continued dismantling the wedding that wouldn't happen. At least not today, not like this. The network's secure, he said, looking at me. Your team's implementation is impressive. Better than Python? I couldn't resist. He actually smiled. I deserved that. Yes, you did. I turned to Olivia. I'll be in the office. Take your time. She grabbed my hand. Jasmine, wait, thank you. For not burning it all down when you could have. Oh, I did burn it down. I squeezed her hand. I just made sure something better could rise from the ashes. Walking to my car, I heard them begin to talk. Soft words about trust and truth and starting over. My phone buzzed with Dad's message. Board meeting tomorrow. Ready to lead? I looked back at the venue, at the dismantled decorations and changed plans, at my sister and her fiancé, choosing to rebuild rather than run. At the future, Mom had sacrificed everything to give us. Not a perfect legacy, but a chance to write our own story. Ready, I texted back. The sun broke through the clouds as I drove away, casting long shadows behind me. Ahead, the road stretched toward the office, toward responsibility and redemption, and all the complicated choices family brings. Mom was right. Leading well isn't about power or control, or even justice. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to let go, when to fight and when to forgive, when to trust that even broken things can be beautiful, if you're brave enough to rebuild them together.
I nearly spilled my wine when I saw him across the crowded gallery. Jace, my high school sweetheart who had disappeared without a trace 15 years ago. Our eyes locked and memories came flooding back. The dizzy excitement of young love, late nights full of laughter, promises of forever. Then the gut-wrenching confusion when he vanished unexpectedly. I watched Jace weave through the crowd toward me, still trim and handsome as ever, though time had etched faint lines at the corners of those piercing green eyes. Marla, he said, I can't believe it's you. His voice sent shivers down my spine. You look incredible. I murmured awkward pleasantries, stunned by this ghost from my past. What was Jace doing back in Colorado Springs after all this time? I noticed no wedding ring on his finger and couldn't help but wonder if he was still the charming heartbreaker who had left me pining all those years ago. What brings you here? I managed. My job. I'm a web designer now, freelance. Just got hired for a project here in town. He seemed nervous. I studied his face, searching for a clue to whether he had thought of me at all during our 15 years apart. Jace suggested grabbing dinner to catch up. I hesitated at first, but curiosity got the better of me. Over candlelit pasta, wine flowing freely, the conversation turned intensely personal. Jace revealed he had burned out on big city life in Chicago, tired of the rat race and shallow connections. Now here he was, hoping for a fresh start someplace more peaceful. Maybe this chance meeting is the universe telling me I need to set down roots, he said earnestly. Reconnect with what really matters. When his hand found mine across the table, my pulse quickened. I thought of my small but comfortable house, my position as project manager in my family's firm, the quiet predictability of my life. Jace's return felt like a spark of electricity jolting me out of complacency. By the end of the evening, we had exchanged numbers with a promise to meet again soon. I barely slept that night, my mind spinning. When Jace called the very next day, I said yes immediately to another date, and another after that. His affectionate attention was intoxicating, exactly what I thought I had left behind in my teen years. He whispered sweet nothings in my ear and showered me with compliments. I felt desired, cherished. Before I knew it, we were officially a couple, seeing each other multiple times a week. My friends were skeptical when they heard Jace was back on the scene. Isn't he the one who disappeared without explanation? Cleo said pointedly, "Be careful, Marla." But I brushed off their warnings. When you find a connection like this, you have to see it through, I thought. What if Jace is my second chance at true love? Barely 3 months had passed, yet Jace dropped to one knee and presented me with a diamond ring. "Marla, you are the love of my life," he declared passionately. "I want to spend every day with you. Will you marry me?" My pulse roared in my ears. This was happening so fast, but when you know, right? I gazed at Jace's handsome face and eager eyes. He had lit a fire in my once predictable life. Maybe this whirlwind romance was exactly what I needed. "Yes!" I cried. "Yes, Jace, I'll marry you." He swept me up ecstatically in his arms. I clung to him, dizzied by emotions I hadn't felt since high school. My parents were skeptical when they heard the news. "Shouldn't you take things slow?" Mom asked. "Are you sure you really know this man after just a few months?" "I've never been more certain of anything," I insisted. Jace turned on the charm for them. "I know we rushed into this engagement," he admitted, "but from the moment I saw Marla again, I just knew. She makes me want to be a better man." Mom and Dad eventually acquiesced with tentative blessings. We couldn't afford some lavish wedding, so we opted for a small ceremony at the courthouse with our families and closest friends. I used up most of my savings account on a simple white dress and reception dinner afterwards. But Jace looked at me like I was the most beautiful woman in the world as we exchanged vows, pledging our lives to one another. That night, wrapped blissfully in my new husband's arms, I sighed, "I can't believe we're finally married." Jace nestled his face into my hair. "You've made me happier than I ever dreamed possible." As a wedding gift, Mom and Dad helped us buy a little 2-bedroom house in the suburbs. "Consider it an investment in your new life together," Dad said, admiration for Jace replacing his initial hesitations. My heart swelled gazing around our first home, picturing the family we would raise within these walls. Cleo came over the first week after our honeymoon, eager to see how I was settling in as a newlywed. "You look happier than ever," she remarked. "I hope Jace knows how lucky he is." I smiled radiantly. "Oh, he tells me every day." My life felt richer and fuller by the month. As I rode this wave of marital bliss, the rapid pace of it all seemed irrelevant. I had everything I could want: the devoted husband, the cozy home, in-laws' approval. What more could a woman ask for? Doubts were a distant memory now. I had made the right choice marrying Jace. I just knew it. The first year of our marriage passed in a blissful blur, but as the honeymoon glow faded, I began noticing strange behaviors from Jace. He started disappearing for hours at a time, never telling me where he was going. Often he came home late reeking of alcohol, brushing off my worried questions. One night I awoke to find his side of the bed empty. The clock read 3:14 a.m. Sick with worry, I tried Jace's cell, but it went straight to voicemail. Where could he possibly be at this hour? At sunrise, he finally rolled in, clothes disheveled, clearly intoxicated. "Where have you been?" I demanded. "I was scared sick." He just shot me a sheepish grin. "Sorry, babe. The guys convinced me to grab some late-night drinks after work. I should have texted." I might have believed his flimsy excuse if it hadn't happened twice more that week. Jace claimed overtime or drinks with colleagues, but when I phoned his office to check, they insisted he had left at his normal time. One afternoon, I stumbled on receipts stuffed hastily in his pant pockets for a fancy necklace and resort hotel stay. Purchases we certainly couldn't afford on our household income. When I confronted Jace, he turned defensive. "You're snooping now? Unbelievable. It was a work trip. The necklace is for you. I can't have privacy?" He stormed off, leaving me standing there, receipt crumpled in my fist, feeling petty and ashamed. But I couldn't ignore the seed of doubt taking root inside me. The next time Jace disappeared, I drove to that resort and asked if a guest named Jace had checked in recently. "I'm afraid we can't disclose private guest information," the manager said. Before I could plead further, recognition flashed in her eyes. "Wait, I do remember him. Had drinks at our lounge bar with some blonde woman. Looked pretty friendly with her." The revelation knocked the wind out of me. When Jace came home that night, I unleashed on him. "Who is she, Jace? The truth." He had the audacity to look wounded. "What are you talking about? There's no one else, Marla. How could you accuse me of that?" "I followed one of your lies straight to that resort lounge," I retorted. "They told me everything." Jace paced angrily. "So now you're tracking my movements? Have you lost your mind?" He stormed towards the door. I refused to endure this constant interrogation in my own home. As the door slammed shut behind him, it finally sank in. The man I loved was not the man I had married. Where had things gone so horribly wrong? Things between Jace and I went from bad to worse after that explosive argument. He was hardly ever home anymore. Strange charges began appearing on our credit card bill, and I could no longer ignore his chemical odor late at night, the dilated pupils and agitated manner. My husband had entered the world of hard drugs. I confronted Jace as he stumbled through our front door, eyes bloodshot and his shirt rumpled. "Where have you been? Are you using?" He glared defiantly, so I blew off some steam with friends. "You gonna punish me for that, too?" "I saw the credit charges, Jace," I said. "Motel rooms, jewelry. This isn't just a little recreational fun. You're lying, doing God knows what with God knows who." My voice broke on the verge of hysterics. "This isn't the man I married." Jace seized my arms and shoved me against the wall. "You want to know what I do late at night?" he spat. "Sometimes I'd rather be with anyone than lie next to your judgmental accusations. Hell, a good hooker accepts my payment without demanding a play-by-play." I pushed him away, stunned by this vicious stranger in my home. "If you wanted out, you should have said so," I cried. "Not drag this family through your sordid double life." Jace's lip curled into a sneer. "Don't lecture me about family values, not when I bust my ass to provide for this one while you sit around policing my every move." His tirade cut me to the core. In desperation, I threatened divorce, but Jace just laughed coldly. "You'll take me back, just like you always do," he taunted. "Big, strong Marla, so tough yet so gullible." His expression hardened. "But cross me again, and you'll regret it." A chill ran down my spine at those words. That night, while Jace slept, I searched feverishly through his things. Buried deep, I uncovered baggies of white powder, seedy photos of Jace with strange women, thousands in ATM withdrawals. The cold truth stared back. This was no longer my husband, but a hostile imposter who had invaded our lives. In the dead of night, aware I was risking my safety, I began meticulously documenting Jace's more incriminating activities on my phone. A heated phone call with an unknown yelling over payments owed. Powder residue on his work desk. Unexplained furtive behavior in shadowy alleyways. As the evidence against Jace mounted, so did my agony over the man I had so foolishly entrusted my future to. Worse yet, now merely existing in the same house as Jace filled me with dread, never knowing when his hair-trigger temper might erupt again. Several weeks later, Cleo came over unexpectedly for our usual Saturday girls' brunch. As she chattered away, I mechanically pushed food around my plate, lost in thought, fingers probing the faded bruise on my upper arm hidden beneath a cardigan, a parting gift from Jace during our last scuffle. Cleo's eyes narrowed with concern. "Marla?" Gently she pulled my sweater sleeve back, revealing the ugly purple and yellow mark marring my skin. Her jaw dropped, comprehension dawning. Breaking down at last, I confessed everything. The lying, the cheating, now the fear of my own husband. Cleo enveloped me in her arms as I wept. "Pack your bags," she said firmly. "You're coming home with me." I sprung into action after that painful confrontation with Cleo, determined to shield myself from Jace's downward spiral. His threats still rang in my ears. Crossing him again would end badly for me. First, I stealthily withdrew over 10 grand from our dwindling savings to reopen my old personal checking account. If I made a run for it, I'd need quick access to funds. I stuffed essentials into bags stashed at Cleo's, ready to flee at a moment's notice. My next call was to an old college buddy who now worked in private investigation. I fed Conrad the names of seedy establishments Jace frequented and details of an assault charge during his Chicago days that Jace had conveniently omitted when we reconnected. "I'll run full background checks, dig deeper into recent activity," Conrad assured me. "We'll get clarity on who this guy really is." While anxiously awaiting Conrad's findings, I played the part of dutiful wife at home. Jace remained oblivious to my maneuvers as I continued logging evidence of his misdeeds. Most importantly, I kept close tabs on his packed schedule, noting when he slipped off for his illicit rendezvous. Late one evening, when Jace left for the office, I followed him at a distance to a rundown apartment complex and watched him disappear inside. Conrad's call came just as I witnessed a disheveled woman around Jace's age emerge looking dazed and hollow. Before she spotted me, I hit Conrad's number. "Got back deep records on your husband," he reported grimly. "Guy's in trouble. Mountains of gambling debt, suspected drug trafficking back in Chicago. He's dangerous, Marla." My blood turned to ice. So the man I had welcomed into my bed, my life, my family home, was a complete fraud, capable of God knows what ilk, if I exposed his lies. "There's more." Conrad's voice dropped. "Jace is wanted for assaulting his ex up north. Put her in the hospital with a concussion and 2 broken ribs when she tried leaving him." My knees buckled as Conrad described injuries mirroring my own concealed bruises. I realized then, Jace hadn't just duped me. He had methodically preyed upon my deepest longings to bind me helplessly to him before unleashing his demonic side. And I had danced straight into his trap. "He won't let me walk away easily," I whispered, comprehending my grave misjudgment too late. "Jace will seriously hurt me if he finds out what I know." "We'll make sure that doesn't happen," Conrad said. "I still have law enforcement contacts here. We'll get him arrested safely so you can get free." Wheels turning rapidly, I knew I needed allies for whatever endgame faced me, and Jace. Starting with my family's business, as office manager, I discreetly relocated precious client files and redirects company funds into protected accounts, shielding those assets from Jace's grasp. I strong-armed a bank associate into freezing the remaining savings under my name only. And I informed my family attorney on the sly about my situation, urging him to accelerate preparations for divorce. Finally, steeling myself before meeting Cleo later that week, I confessed my plan to set up Jace's downfall, regardless of the risk I faced. She squeezed my hand supportively. "I've got your back, girl, whatever happens next." The bait was set. I had arranged for an anonymous cash payment to be left at a discreet drop location after feeding Jace a fabricated work emergency. If all went according to plan, he would take the money and run, directly into our trap. My group of co-conspirators gathered at a rented office space near the drop point, reviewing our strategy. My family attorney briefed 2 plainclothes officers on Jace's history of assault. Cleo paced anxiously but nodded reassuringly when I caught her eye, and Conrad scanned area security feeds on a laptop, tracking Jace's movements. I peered over Conrad's shoulder as Jace's car appeared, pulling to the location described in the fake text I had shown him earlier. We held our breath, watching the grainy screen as Jace glanced around furtively before retrieving the parcel and speeding off. "He took the bait. Let's move," Conrad confirmed. We piled into 2 unmarked police vehicles, tailing Jace to a seedy motel on the outskirts of town. Undercover cameras captured him exiting his car, parcel tucked under one arm, looking smug as he entered a corner room. It was go time. I waited in the car, heart hammering, while the team stormed in. Even with the element of surprise on our side, the confrontation sounded ugly from my shelter around the corner. Crashing furniture, enraged yelling from Jace, cries of "Get your hands off me!" Then, silence. Moments later, Jace emerged in handcuffs, face mottled with rage as he realized my betrayal. "You set me up, you devious bitch," he roared, fighting against the restraints. "I'll kill you for this, Marla." I met his livid glare unflinchingly, let him spew threats. He was the one in chains now. As officers shoved Jace into the back of a squad car, grim satisfaction swelled within me. We had seized control from my tormentor at last. With the stolen cash and illegal substances found in Jace's possession, plus extensive documentation detailing his shady history, the police had enough evidence to hold him on felony charges. But the most damaging blow to Jace still awaited as part 2 of my plot unfolded. Hours after the motel sting, our town's elite gathered for a lavish business awards gala that I knew Jace planned to attend. Right on cue as the event kicked off, 2 uniformed officers marched through the glitzy ballroom entrance, eliciting audible gasps as they make a beeline for my table. My heart pounded with everyone's eyes upon me. "Marla Brooks, we need you to come with us," the taller officer stated while attendees gawked and murmured. "It's about your husband, ma'am." As instructed, I let out a strangled cry while the officers gently escorted me away. Before disappearing from sight, I glimpsed open-mouthed stares, my name echoing through the crowd. The spectacle was complete. No doubt word of Jace's shame would spread like wildfire. By dawn, his reputation in this town would be destroyed beyond repair. Alone in the ladies' room, I sagged against the wall as relief crashed over me. It was over. My nightmare at long last was finally over. I had reclaimed my life and my future. As tears spilled down my cheeks, an unexpected laugh escaped me. No more hiding, no more looking over my shoulder. I walked out into the night air reborn, unbound, the orange glow of streetlights welcoming me back to the world. In the weeks following Jace's dramatic arrest, I dove headfirst into legal proceedings, determined to nail his coffin shut. Restraining orders, divorce filings, lawsuits against Jace piled up on my attorney's desk as I sought financial and legal reparations. Most crucially, I provided police a full dossier documenting Jace's years of deception. The bruises concealed beneath layers of makeup, frantic texts sent furtively to friends whenever Jace lost his temper. My testimony was damning enough that prosecutors felt confident pursuing domestic assault charges alongside Jace's multiple drug and fraud offenses. When Jace appeared at his preliminary hearing, cocky as ever in an orange jumpsuit and shackles, his smug grin faded as formal charges were presented. His eyes burned with impotent fury when they landed on me sitting resolutely in the front row. The judge set harsh bail terms Jace had no means to meet. As guards dragged my soon-to-be ex back to his cell, his enraged screams echoed through the courtroom. "You'll pay for this, Marla! I promise you, you backstabbing whore!" His words no longer fazed me. They merely sealed his ultimate downfall. In the final divorce decree a month later, the judge took Jace to the cleaners. Due to irrefutable evidence of mental and physical abuse, I was granted our home, remaining household assets, and a hefty alimony settlement given my demonstrated resilience in the face of turmoil. "He deserves worse," Cleo fumed when reviewing the terms. "You went through hell thanks to Jace." I waved her off warily. It's enough knowing karma caught up with him. With multiple felony charges, he'll spend years in prison. That's revenge enough. Rumor mills churned in our small suburban circle about sordid details of Jace's collapsed house of cards. Drugs, cheating, physical assault. My divorce attorney arranged an exclusive tell-all interview for me with the local paper, cementing sympathy on my side. Portray her as the courageous hero who prevailed despite unimaginable betrayal and abuse behind closed doors, my counsel directed. She exposed a dangerous fraud and kept other women safe in the process. I confessed my whole gut-wrenching ordeal to the reporter, the subtle manipulation that seduced me, incremental violence excused away until it became intolerable, the elaborate sting operation that finally halted Jace's reign of terror. I ignored all the red flags because I so badly wanted to believe in second chances, I acknowledged. But some people cannot be saved. Now I advocate for stronger protections to prevent stories like mine. Public reaction to my published account was fiercely supportive. Well-wishers stopped me on the street, praising my bravery. Mothers with teenage daughters made me promise to visit their local high schools, so no other woman falls prey to toxic love like you did. Their faith in me to transform suffering into positive change moved me deeply. From my hometown to the halls of state legislature, I was living proof that even domestic violence victims could reclaim their strength. And redemption never tasted sweeter than the day State of Colorado versus Jace Eaton flashed across my phone screen, signifying the final death knell to my tormentor's devastation. Justice was served at last. With the smoke cleared from legal battles, I shifted focus to piecing my life back together. The house Jace and I had once shared became my solitary refuge, as I grieved the man I thought I married versus the monster revealed. Bitterness still arose occasionally over wasted years chained to Jace's deception. But anger no longer controlled me. Now purpose filled my days instead. Through counseling, I found wisdom and closure. My therapist inspired me to channel hardship into uplifting other women trapped in abusive cycles. Transform your testimony into empowerment, she urged. Let your story give hopeless victims the courage to break free. I began volunteering for a nonprofit domestic violence group, then joined their board to guide strategy. Within a year, I had spearheaded a broad outreach campaign called Rise Above that brought survivor stories into high schools and colleges. I shared my journey escaping Jace's grip to rapt audiences, refusing to gloss over uglier parts. See this scar under my eye? I would point out, a relic of Jace hurling a glass object. I once mistook rage for passion, but violence should never be normalized for the sake of love. My mission to advocate for at-risk women soon grew into a nonprofit venture I founded called New Dawn. We ran empowerment seminars, offered pro bono counseling and legal help, even temporarily housed women fleeing dangerous homes. 3 years later, New Dawn had expanded into 3 counties with a paid staff of 10 running daily operations. We opened new emergency shelters annually. I rubbed shoulders with state politicians and prominent activists as a respected leader in the field. One day, Cleo forwarded me a news article titled "Disgraced Businessman Sent Back to Jail," featuring Jace's scowling mugshot. I skimmed details of his failed parole attempt after serving time for drug charges tied to my case. A small flare of satisfaction rose in me, knowing Florida penitentiaries would remain Jace's miserable dwelling. New Dawn got a shout-out in that story on Jace, Cleo added proudly. They credited your whole movement bringing light to domestic abuse issues locally. My eyes misted reading glowing praise for our collective impact. Perhaps my battered old soul still had some healing left to do. But staring at Jace's hardened criminal face, I felt only detachment, like gazing upon a stranger now. His power to haunt me had faded long ago. The chapter of my life defined by Jace's menacing presence had long since closed. In its place, a confident visionary and nurturer of broken spirits had emerged, one for whom peace and purpose now shaped days where uncertainty and fear once dwelled. Redemption manifests in many forms. Rarely does it arrive as we envisioned. But my second chance was never sweeter.